Defo Show in South Florida Live, Jeff DeForest, and we of course have the handsome one now, and dressing better and better on every show. I'm gonna have to step up my shirt game there and get rid of the 3 black shirts and a couple of blue ones that I have, and maybe diversify a little bit. That's what it's all about today, Roger Goodell. Diversity, my friend.
Yes, diversify.
Diversity, and I say that with a lot of positive emotion and energy, because our good friend Jim Sarney points out to us that today is National Women's Achievement Day. International Women's Day. And
Yes.
he believes we are demeaning to women and diminish their accomplishments and don't recognize their athletic expertise to the level that we should. And, maybe that's true. You might be right about that.
I was going to stop you, and then everything you said was true. So I said, I can't fight him.
Yeah.
We're not demeaning on purpose, but we don't include enough women in our shows, which is not on purpose. Believe me, look, we're gonna have Kate Fagan on, and we can have her here and then put it on Believe. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I'd love to have women voices. Both you and I are very open.
No, I really enjoy it. Yeah.
I just don't hear a lot. I grew up not hearing them. Now you do. Now there's women everywhere. Like we talked about on our Defo on 5. The whole gambling industry is just women.
It's all babes. It's interesting because, well, I mean, just to, I mean, you look at it, and I remember a couple of these young ladies were very prominent on ESPN and even ABC because, when I first saw her on FanDuel TV with like, I mean, a bunch of schlubs. Here's this hot babe, Lisa Kearney, who very proudly is representing FanDuel TV now. And then after being out of sight for a while, right? I mean, she left under some sort of strained terms. Michelle Beadle, who was the darling at one time of ESPN, worked her way all the way up to being the host. I mean, she's hosting, the NBA Finals.
Yes.
And, and was very prominent. And you know what? I thought she was all right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what her problem was with the people at ESPN. But apparently, they fell into disfavor with each other. And she walked away with like millions of dollars. And you figured, wow, it hadn't resurfaced on any other kind of broadcast. Was a very competent and professional broadcaster, I thought. And then all of a sudden, there she is. Like operating out of the ladies' room at some Ritz-Carlton with a hat on and, 2 guys that I never heard of before that all of a sudden are telling you that, you know what, the Knicks are a lock tonight.
Well,
yeah. That deserves a derisive Mexican whistle, which is that strictly a West Coast thing? We've never really established that with any of our Hispanic friends out there.
Yeah, I've never heard that thing. I grew up with Latin people my whole life. I never heard that whistle. I've heard a lot.
So prominent, at the Olympic. I mean, we used to go to every Thursday night. If you didn't hear that at least half a dozen times, then you weren't really, getting a very good card.
I didn't care.
Sounds like it would be like, a roach coach, kind of, where they have whatever it is that they play to alert people that the roach coach is on the scene at a construction site. Come and get it, man. Here, we got some cheese Danish for you. Anyway, everything is gambling today. We know that. We were talking about that on our Defo on 5 on the Scoop Skolnick driven 5 Reasons Sports Network, which is very Miami Heat intensive. I see. I used to be like this as a sports fan, and maybe it crossed over into all sports. I mean, we knew every statistic as a kid.
Yep.
You had guys' batting averages memorized. I mean, you could take some obscure Philadelphia Philly, and you would say, "Oh yeah, he had a bad year in '59, man. He hit 260." Whereas now, I mean, you would take that, right? Mazeroski hit 260 lifetime. Bill Mazeroski, owner and the guy that hit one of the most famous, probably what? Would it be the most famous home run in Major League Baseball history? You could make a case for that. I guess the Bobby Thompson shot it around the world.
That's up there, yeah.
Would be big. I mean, Dave Winfield, I had Gibbons, whatever. Gibson, Kirk Gibson.
Okay, Kirk Gibson. Joe Carter.
Gabby Gibbons back in 08 with the Cardinals. Kirk Gibson, man. I can't believe what I just saw. I don't think he actually saw that, right? Buck, do you think he actually saw the thing, or was it like a John Sterling call? It is high, it is fire, it is, hey, Susan, where the hell is the ball? It's going to come to that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit about gambling being taboo. It was a taboo subject, and now it's all babes, right? I mean, and then nondescript babes pop up. I watch a lot of FanDuel TV, of course, because they took over the racing network, television, TVG, television games, and essentially they're kind of running a lot of sports gambling propaganda in the middle of your racing day, which you're already a degenerate if you're watching this all day, right? I mean,
Yes.
I can't tell you how many women, that have crossed my path, since the time, when I was maybe 50, when I was really running around like an idiot. And, everyone, after they've been with you for a couple of days, would say, uh, do you ever watch anything else on TV? No, sweetheart, just there you go, being misogynist and dismissive of women. Unbelievable. On National Women's Day, what a disgrace, Libby. We honor all women. I
Yes.
don't understand the influx of women into gambling, including a woman that we knew from down here for a while, Anita Marks. Well, when did she ever gamble? When you talked to her, did she ever mention, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't believe the Pacers are losing by 14? Never. You never heard any of that stuff. So why is it that they feel, I mean, who are they feeding on FanDuel? The young, the uninitiated? The people that don't realize that almost all gambling endeavors are designed by and fueled by an extremely deep-rooted self-sabotage people. Correct? Although, the desire to be right is also, I mean, is there a better feeling than being right about something that everybody else was wrong about, Lubie? That would be the way to go.
I like being right, period. I don't care if you're wrong or not. I just want to be
Yeah.
right overall. Whoever's wrong or right isn't up to me. I just want to be right. I don't give a shit what you what you do.
There's an assumption that we should be good at this also, Lubie. Is there not? I mean, you're spending your whole life analyzing sports for a living, which
Oh
is stealing a living. I would be the first to admit to that. And it really isn't like having worked a day in your life. I mean, it's just putting up with the nonsense from various media entities. That was always the tough part. And then, of course, the deep rooted fear that you're just not good enough, Luby. Not you specifically. I mean, where you're thinking, hey, how come they didn't pick me? Right? To take over some national job. So instead, you're sitting there on the sidelines, wondering what the hell you're going to do next. And the other guy's making millions of dollars calling play by play, even though you think he sucks. That's the way that goes. But yeah, dealing with the politics of it all probably was the only real work that was involved in doing any kind of sports analysis for a living. I recommend it 1,000%. If you have kids out there, is it about time that we address the children that are in our listening audience and viewing audience, Libby? What do you think? A message out there for the kids? Would that be appropriate? No?
Sure. I mean, that's not really our target audience, but
I always love that one.
but
Well, this one's for the kids out there. That's the way you catch the ball. You catch it in the mitt and then you cover it with your other hand. Did you ever catch a ball like that? No, nobody ever did, right? That Tom Umansky tape? Well, what a bunch of bullshit propaganda that was, huh? Who was sending that out? Are we going to find out that Tom Umansky was actually working for the Russians and was sent here to poison the minds of all children by having them practice fundamentals to the point where the game became so fucking boring that you were actually doing everything in three pieces, right? Where the guy would catch the ball and then, cock his arm, hold it there for a second, throw the ball, and then follow through and hold that position for a while. Whoever played ball like that? Nobody, man. Holy Roberto Clemente. What are we talking about here? Right? Everybody else was, one hand in the ball and just firing it right away. There was no three motion fundamental thing. But I do believe that was a tape that was designed and remember it was on TV like constantly, almost as much as like FanDuel. What happened to DraftKings, by the way? Did they drop out of the picture?
I think aren't they combined? They didn't combine. I thought.
Oh, maybe they did. Okay, because
Combined.
I see zero about DraftKings anymore. They merged two gambling entities.
I think. I mean, I'll look into it. I thought they did.
At what point do you think they or are they already doing it? Like start just dictating to these leagues how to run their games? Where the FanDuel guy he used to meekly call Roger Goodell once in a while and say, "Hey, Raj, would you ever consider?" And Raj, had an automatic hang up. He didn't want to talk about it. Man, we ain't gonna mention no gambling around here. These are the NFL offices here.
They're not combined. They tried to combine, and
they did.
He said, "No," because then 90% of all gambling entities, so they are not combined. But yeah, then you don't hear And then we need to FanDuel. We're for you. We love you, FanDuel. We're all in. Yeah.
All of these celebrities are betting their brains out too, huh? Just sitting around their mansions.
Andy said he's trying to set us up with FanDuel, and I said, "Look, we're in." He's like, "I'm not joking."
Oh no, we will become huge.
We love you,
endorsers.
FanDuel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yay, FanDuel. Yay.
The amount of weight that they carry, you would be foolish. I mean,
we wouldn't say
would
no.
this be like the equivalent of Phil Mickelson joining the Live Tour? I don't know. No, the money is coming from what? It's coming from guys that are playing 10-team parlays and proposition parlays on FanDuel for $10. Those are the guys that are. It's not the whales. Remember, you used to want to go after the whales. A casino host, he'd bring in some guy that was about to blow, 50,000, and Steve Wynn would call him into his office there, where he had a trap door in front of his desk, where the guy fell into a dungeon if he failed on the job. And he said, "What is this 50 grand player that you comped 3 nights in a suite for? I need millions, right?" And those were the guys that we're looking for. That's just the opposite now, Lubie. They're looking for guys like you, the $10 player who is going to go ahead and say, well, it's not exciting to bet 10 to win like 990 or whatever. So I'm going to parlay this 16 times until it boils down to I need the Hornets to hit a free throw inside the final 8 seconds to cash my bet. And if they hit just one, I'm a winner. Different world. It certainly is. But if Andy's going to hook us up, Andy, we're all in, man. You'll be seeing FanDuel. I would tattoo FanDuel on my forehead at this point. What do you think, Lubie?
Oh my God, that's what we've been trying to do, is link up with an organization that needs good, I was going to say generate gambling content, and they are the medium to get us out there. That's
and I think
what I to do.
Yeah, I think they would be better served if they had somebody that was on the air telling the truth. And not advocating. I mean, they wouldn't even have to play the disclaimer anymore about, well, if you have a gambling problem, you really ought to call this number. And you notice the number's only up there for about as long as the conditions were if you got a loan from Cash Call. Do you remember the Cash Call commercials? Those were very prominent one time.
Yes. I know the Cash Call from you. Yes.
Oh, my God. I mean, were they whacking people right and left? I don't want to imply that they were whacking them literally, but I mean, the juice alone was enough to strangle anybody. Even the richest of people would have had trouble keeping up with the payments from Cash Call. Is that still prominent? I don't know. I don't see any ads for it anymore. Jockeys were wearing Cash Call because the guy was into horse racing, because he took all of the juice that he had made off these loans and, parlayed that into a very nice, significant stable, probably worthy of the training expertise of guys like Baffert and Pletcher. He's doing it right. And then he had all the jockeys wearing Cash Call in his pants. So that didn't come probably without a lot of, the small-time people feeling a lot of pain. And that's where I think, these guys are all going wrong. Because just witness last night, and we were talking about this on Defo at 5. I could on 5. I couldn't believe it. I mean, we were assuming that the Knicks had a cinch 10th consecutive victory. Were you not, Lubie? You were already lamenting the fact that, the Heat will never catch the Knicks. They have the Hornets tonight. They've won 9 in a row.
Yeah. Some
schmink on CBS Sportsline. I mean, supposedly a credible, reputable place that is, what is the purpose of having power rankings? You would have to think that also now is going to be sponsored by FanDuel or somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're sort of indicating to you, unseen, beneath the surface of all of this analysis and numerology and sabermetrics, is the fact that the Knicks are the best team in basketball. Mm. Now, you're looking at it, and you're looking at the standings and saying, that ain't true. Yeah, how could they be the best team in basketball? They had rattled off 9 in a row, and I believe that the last couple, right, were Heat on the road and Celtics on the road.
Yes.
They return home to the Garden, where James Dolan will not let anybody that doesn't look like, well, he wouldn't even let Marv Albert into the building, right? Because, I don't know, he had some kind of a falling out with Marv. Can you imagine that, Lubie? When they bring back, like, to honor some element of Knicks history, the guy they don't invite is Marv Albert. Can you imagine? What a disgrace this James Dolan is. They return home, and obviously to a very favorable crowd, because Dolan is face-checking guys that are not Knicks fans. He's confiscating jerseys of the Charlotte Hornets, right? He wouldn't even let LaMelo Ball into the building. He wasn't going to play, but he wouldn't let him into the building. And the Hornets, who are horrible, the Hornets' record now is 21-46, Lubie. 21-46, and the one player they had that you would want to tune in to see. Can you name me another Charlotte Hornet? I can't name you another Charlotte Hornet.
And they have the other Bridges that was in legal trouble. I don't know if he's still playing, but not.
That doesn't sound all that favorable. I mean, in terms of being encouraged about their roster. Don't they have the guy who's in legal trouble?
They have Kelly. Oh, I didn't know Kelly Oubre Jr. was there. Terry Rozier, who was a guy for the Celtics a few years ago, was really good.
Okay.
Gordon Hayward.
Hayward's there, yes. Okay. There. Yes.
And then, and Dennis.
That was an odd choice, wasn't it, when Hayward came back? I mean, just a brutal leg injury.
Marvin one?
And remember, I mean,
I don't know.
The Celtics had made a long-term commitment to Gordon Hayward, had they not? And he was a hot commodity. Didn't Pat Riley want this guy, like, desperately? Gordon Hayward.
Yes, that one off season, the Heat went after him hard, and the Celtics ended up getting him.
Yes, and he was very effective there until, wow. I mean, have you ever seen that? Holy Joe Theismann, my God.
Really badly early.
That was ugly.
It was late.
I mean, that really was. Yeah, I mean, that was, Marty Lyons there, and just, crushing a guy like Dwight Stevenson. And you're thinking that the guy's career will never be the same. Now, I don't know that it was the same because he was a more impactful player before, but he still is very capable. It's sort of encouraging to see because this guy literally, came back from the basketball grave. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yes, 100%. Like he's hovering around, but he's not what he once was. But he's so useful.
But the Knicks, who just rose, in the opinion of everybody, to championship status, all of a sudden, it's like they had Frazier and Monroe out there in the backcourt. And they could do no wrong, a very solid Dave DeBusschere just knocking down, 18-footers and doing all kinds of dirty work. And the perfect combination of players had a lot of chemistry working. We were talking about how many times have we mentioned Tom Thibodeau on the show this week, Lubie?
More than we've mentioned him in the last 2 years.
Yeah, man. This guy was finished. The storyline before the season was that, oh my God, how are the Knicks ever going to recover from this? Is Jalen Brunson enough?
Yes, they were going after Donovan Mitchell. I didn't think they'd even be good enough with Mitchell. They weren't able to get him, and they were strapped with a lot of young guys that are underperforming with big contracts, namely RJ Barrett and Julius Randle.
RJ Barrett is a strange player. I'm watching him. He's doing nothing in this ball game the other night when the Knicks were playing the Celtics in that double overtime thriller in Manila. And it was like, maybe early in the fourth quarter. And then they say, RJ Barrett's got 27. I'm like, what? When did he do this? Exactly. I mean, he just seems to be cruising through the game as if, a very nonchalant fashion there. It doesn't strike me. And what was it? Was it a couple of years ago when he got the fat contract that he had shown so much improvement in that category of, at least exhibiting some form of intensity? Not that you have to be a maniac outwardly, but, you can tell when a guy is into the game, and it just never looked like he was, like, totally into it. Is that crazy, Lubie, or does that seem like a characteristic of this guy?
That class, well, I don't know if it's John Moran's class, but it was a class of Zion Williamson. He was the number one player in the country coming out. RJ Barrett was the most well-rounded player, and he always just sort of seemed disinterested. Like he was busting his ass. Like, that's the thing. Zion looked like he really wanted it. He just couldn't stay away from eating garbage. RJ Barrett seemed like he was just happy with the talents he had, and he wasn't working to get better, because the kid had tons of talent. He was a top 3 pick for a reason.
Woj also is reporting on one of the ESPN crawls, I believe ESPN 3, that Zion is a big fan of the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show.
Okay.
Yeah, because he does like to. I mean, he's one of those guys that potentially could have eaten himself out of basketball, but he did show some dedication, I guess, and got himself in shape this year. Unfortunately, it seems like always injured, right? Always injured. This hamstring has to be the worst hamstring in the history of legs. No? That's saying a lot there.
I'll be topping another bus, yes.
Zion Williamson. I mean, but I mean, enjoyable to watch because he's kind of as much of a big body as he is. He's sort of an underdog in there against the big men in the NBA. And yet he manages to maneuver his way into a very high shooting percentage. He was having a great year when he was playing, and so were the Pelicans. But now they're kind of dust and an afterthought there. Smoothie King Arena in New Orleans. When was the last time you went to a Smoothie King, Lubie? Have you ever thought about that?
In my life, I have. Years ago, when they first became popular, I liked them. The problem is, it's so much cheaper to make your own smoothie. So when it used to be $5, it bothered me. Now I've gone with Shirley, and we spent like $10 for a fucking smoothie. And
one drink there is $10.
Yeah. Oh no, because they put in all the stuff that no one can pronounce the name. Yeah. So people like Shirley are like, oh yes, it's what a great deal. And I'm like, babe, you can buy a thing of strawberries for less than $10 and make like 12 smoothies. Like I just can't do it with regularity because it frustrates the crap out of me. How much they're gouging you.
You're easily influenced when you're involved in a relationship by whatever it is, the desires of the woman to change you. You know, and I would imagine you've had your share. I mean, and I have certainly where they want to try and turn you into a very healthy person, which is a monumental undertaking. One that's just, it's like Brian Cashman, man. It's doomed to failure. No matter what you do, you can't get Lisa Meanwell out of your life. So this one lady actually was trying to get me to take a liking to wheatgrass.
Oh, Jesus.
One of those health food phenomenons that, it really, I mean, seems to be based on pure lunacy and craziness. So wheatgrass, right? So you would suck this stuff down, and it was horrible. Just, I mean, you may as well just go outside and eat your lawn. I mean, I told her, I said, this is great if I'm a cow, but, give me one of those roast beef sandwiches over there. Yeah, the one with plenty of fat on it. That's the one I want. She's probably going to live a long life. And, I'm checking the clock every day. Mike Louie Livitz. Sure. All right, let me tell you about Hialeah Park and all the great stuff going on there. It's fantastic. I mean, they've just been hitting home run after home run at Hialeah, and it was so great to get down there, see Frank Fiore and Steve Calabro and all of the good people there at Hialeah Park. Really one big happy family. Ray Martinez was out there. He asked about the Polyman, as a matter of fact. And I said, the Polyman's fine. Right. And he left, because everybody, it's just that kind of vibe there where everybody's, part of the family. And, you feel so good for these people because, I mean, they really put on a whale of a show. They do a hell of a job, too. Attention to detail. Frank Fiore, attention to detail.
Oh, no.
Right? Makes good use of time, that kind of thing. I mean, he must have excelled when he was in grade school. And all of these categories they used to rate when I was a kid. And, routinely came up empty in almost every box, right? No check there, right? You had to go all the way to the right where it was like, unfortunately does not meet up with expectations. And you're like, needs motivation. That was always the thing. Needs motivation. Anyway, they don't need any motivation to, and know how to put on a good time for everybody and provide everybody with an opportunity for a good time at Hialeah Park. Get a player's card when you come through the door. I always say that because it entitles you to so many great things. They have a magnificent rewards program. I get no less than 10, pieces of mail a day from various casino entities, all wanting the Mustang to go there and play slots. Must be very profitable. I mean, for the amount of money they just spend in these mailers, I think she would have to lose like $1,000 an hour, to make up for it. But nonetheless, you see all kinds of rewards programs, and I don't know that any of them rival Hialeah, which this is a private entity. It's not some big conglomerate of casinos there like Caesars or Harrah's or any of that. So you're going to love it. It's always a great time. Tremendous vibe down there. People are winning. They're hitting jackpots all the time. The poker room is great. And I love the Champion Simulcast room. I just like breathing in the air at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more special surprise guests, you say?
Yes, it is. It's actually Jim Sarney's the sexist here. It's not us. It's National Women's Month, Sarney. Why are you shortchanging the amazing women of this world? It's National Women's Month. So we are honoring it. in part today, and we'll try and do our best to keep it. We'll talk with Kate Fagan as well, like a
Yeah.
prominent woman in the world of sports. So we're trying. We aren't.
We're overdosing here on look, it's always great when you get a woman and she can absolutely nail it in a sporting conversation and has a feel for the whole thing. I will say this: the advance of overall play in women's sports is heartening to see. Is it not?
This woman is joining. It's funny. I thought she was just in every Hall of Fame already. I wasn't trying to assume, but she's joining another Hall of Fame, the Sports Writers Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah,
going to be attending her 38th Final Four. So we will help her.
This is big for us.
To National Women's Month. Jim Sarney.
All right, Sonny. I mean, this will give Sonny something to think about when he's smoking that cigar and
mocking us,
having a light beer later on tonight. All right, we'll come back with that. A special guest in a moment. Tony Segreto goes old school with us later on as well. So we're going to have a good time here on the show. The rest of the way, I'm Jeff DeForest. That is Mike Lubie Lubitz returning in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:29.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Viscero, lovely and talented one. Thanks for joining us here on the celebration.
You know, I cannot believe the women that you guys have managed to have relationships with. The Duke asked me, he said the other day, haven't Shirley and the Mustang moved away and joined some ashram by now? Or with these people?
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. You can tell by the initials. Is that a hint as to who the special mystery guest is, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to try and bring that into focus here as we return to the Defo Show. And I'm just wondering if this young lady has a number in mind. At what point? Wow, look at that! It's vibrating. It's pulsating. It's almost like there's a brilliant picture of the lovely and talented Leslie Visser, and there's a blank screen.
She's not doing video. She's on.
Oh, okay. That's the way we're doing it. Very nice.
She uses the technology of a microphone, but has a lot going on, so we're not on video.
I'm just seeing this thing. It literally looks like I'm watching an old episode of Soul Train here. That's just pulsating. It's fantastic. I'm waiting for Don Cornelius to pop up. Leslie Visser, lovely and talented one. How are you?
Well, first of all, where was I? Today is probably not the day that you want to talk about babes who know nothing about gambling or any other topic.
You're the second person to bring that up, but much more forcefully so, yes.
And do you think that Lubie, you could ever cut him a break. I love your reference to Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose, but I mean, could you just advance it a little? Didn't you ask Lubie yesterday how much he remembers of Ty Cobb or Ernest Gregorio? What are you doing?
I'm like, definitely.
Really?
Those
We're
days.
flashing back into the distant past. I mean, prehistoric
Ernie
times.
D?
Oh my God.
Do you have a number yet in mind? I mean, I know you're more inclined to think ahead in your career moves and consider them more carefully than we would. But and you have more to consider, which is also a terrific position to be in. Will you sell out to FanDuel and become a handicapper on TV, as opposed to accepting more honors, of distinction like Hall of
yes.
Fame?
Thank you. Well, what it did, my brief foray into it, I used to play fantasy football. That's as far as I got. And I found out that if my picks didn't do well, I wouldn't speak to them. So one year I had the number 1 pick of the draft, and I went with LaDainian Tomlinson. And then remember, he got hurt.
Yes.
So I was supposed to do an interview with him, and I said, thank you, no.
That's great.
I mean, you try your best not to let it impact, your view, unbiased view of the sporting world. But it's only a matter of time before Tom Rinaldi gets off that flowery soapbox that he's on. Our good friend Tom Rinaldi, and he looks Tiger Woods in the eye after he blows around at the Masters and said, "Tiger, you suck."
I doubt that. But you guys would be great, seriously, on a handicapping show. I tell everyone you're just the funniest people.
Yeah, I think we're trying to work that out. I don't know. Do you have any influence with FanDuel? They haven't approached you yet at all?
No, I'm not really known for my handicapping skills. You've seen me at the track. What about when I owned them with our buddy Patino? And finally, I called him because one of them had a mental problem when we had 2 horses and wouldn't run when the gate opened. And I finally called Rick and said, Rick, I could have had the same experience driving down the Jersey Turnpike, throwing my money out the window.
Of course, you weren't partners on the horses that Patino hit on, which is usually the way that goes as well.
Yeah, Hallery Hunter, no. AP Valentine, no. Both derbies, 1 finished 4th, no.
There's Rick with a rose in his teeth in the winner's circle.
Lose my number.
Yeah, the pride of Louisville, and he's got the winning horse in the Derby, and never quite got there, but hey, he had some good ones. That's for sure. What's happening with our man Rick? What do you know, and when did you know it? He said, "I'm in for life with these Iona cats." And now there's one. There's always that one last bulb that goes off that says, "Maybe I could do this all again."
He could do it all again if he chooses to, and his contract has an opening. If he does go to another school, they don't have to buy him out. He's been cleared completely of any charges, so he's ready to go anywhere. And he's got I think a couple places in mind. Although, Rick in his mind kind of always keeps one bag packed, but that doesn't mean for sure he'd leave. It would have to be a pretty perfect situation, of which I think he has a couple of them in mind.
Little Larry Brown DNA, you think, flowing through his veins?
How about when Larry Brown's wife, when Larry came home and said, "Okay, honey, we're packing up. We're going to Manhattan." And she thought it was the Big Apple, but it was Manhattan, Kansas. And I think they got divorced shortly after that.
Yeah, it doesn't do you much good to have a closet full of shoes there in Manhattan, Kansas. I would imagine Mel DeMarcos wouldn't be inclined to move there. All right, and now you're going to be again. Is this 38 straight Final Fours? You're going to be in attendance either as a working journalist or I guess you've worked them all, huh? In one capacity or another.
Yeah, well, I missed a couple of them. My first was 1980, the Doctors of Dunk. Louisville beat UCLA, and John Wooden was there because, of course, he coached. Actually, Larry Brown was the coach at UCLA then. So, and Denny Crum had played for John Wooden. So, Coach was in the stands. And, when I always talk about things I love about the Final Four, I was sharing with Lubie that it was 40 years ago this year. I covered it. It was in the pit in Albuquerque when Phi Slamma Jamma, they people don't remember. They were rock stars. They wore sunglasses at night. It was Olajuwon and Drexler, and we all thought the semifinal was against Louisville, and we thought, oh my God, this is the future of college basketball. Phi Slamma Jamma brought the dunk back to the game. You remember it'd been outlawed, and they were just like up and down, and Guy Lewis was always waving that towel around, run, run, run.
Yeah.
And then they got beat by a dunk, when Lorenzo Charles put, Derek calls it a pass, but of course, Wittenberg, it was a shot.
No, that looked like an air ball there. I mean, a genuine brick.
It did. So and Houston, they're number one now. I mean, and something you need, as you know, in the NCAA tournament is defense. And Houston, they're not just a shooting team. They have defense, and the Final Four is in Houston. So that would really be a great story.
Well, and speaking of great stories, as great as that story was, and anybody that was following that tournament, remembers Valvano running around on the court looking for somebody to hug, and then of course, became a very, very, a distinguished figure with the speech he made, and now the tremendous charitable efforts that have been made in his name with the Jimmy V Foundation. But you couldn't help but love this guy, and as great a story as that is, I don't know. I mean, you would be much better equipped to address this than me with my memory being shot. But I mean, there have been stories of equal caliber or maybe even greater that have occurred. I mean, as you say, the tournament always delivers.
It does. It always delivers on its promise. I think both the Villanova wins were fantastic. People ask me why I do what I do. I say Villanova 66, Georgetown 64, and 85. Remember the three Big East teams, which did not include Syracuse. By the way, are they still in business?
I don't know. Jimmy B's, I think he's at that retreat with Aaron Rodgers, just, slipping in the darkness here.
Okay, are you sitting down? Do you know what Jimmy B is doing this summer?
Going to do a triathlon in Hawaii.
Even stranger than that, he is taking his team to Israel.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, man, there you go.
Yeah,
maybe Duran Sheffer has a kid that can play. Let's hope so.
But I would have to say that was a great final. I mean, it didn't work out in Syracuse's favor that year.
Oh, geez, Keith Smart. Why do you have to bring that up? You did that deliberately, Leslie?
Yeah, back to Israel.
Yeah.
But no, there've been, the Butler, the Gordon Hayward just, shot that rimmed out. There have been, the Chris Webber timeout, the Fab Five year. They didn't quite get there. So, I don't know. I think it's great because they are kids. They make mistakes. The bands are great. And just the whole tournament, like Miami. Oh my God, how great do they look?
Yes.
Yeah, and yet, even watching them, I mean, it does seem, and people have been talking all year long about parity in college basketball, and that seems to be readily in evidence when you've seen, every team that became number one got knocked off like in its subsequent game this year. And then, a couple of them have come back on top, but, no clear cut. Is this as wide open? I mean, it sounds, very cliche. Sorry, Leslie, to do this to you, but I don't know that I've seen a tournament where there is really no strong opinion about any particular team.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And then do you see Sarni's yelling at us that we have to talk about the women, which I'd love to in a minute. But I would say I think probably the four top seeds will be Alabama, Houston, UCLA. Great to have them, really having come back.
Holy Tyus Edney. I mean, that was another great story too. Yeah.
And Mick Cronin, great coach, tough, Cincinnati was Rick's assistant at Louisville. But I think that it is the blue blood, normally the blue bloods, Kentucky, Duke, Carolina. Carolina might not even make the tournament. So
yeah, I think they're out.
Yeah, I like that it's spread out.
It's interesting too, and from a coverage standpoint, and you did this so well for so many years with CBS and what were there, and you would get something out of these coaches, which is a rarity on these sideline interviews anymore. But it was such a festive atmosphere of all the things. That I've had the opportunity to cover. And I love many different atmospheres, including the sleaziest of slimy boxing setups in foreign countries, whatever. I just dig the action. But the scene at the Final Four and just hanging around the hotel there, the main hotel, where everybody was kind of gathered and all these coaches, and you see the game and the way it's working. What was as interesting a scene as I've been a part of in the many years I've been covering sports. I was glad I got that opportunity to cover one.
I can't believe that you thought it was better than when you went to Barranquilla for
Yeah.
some flyweight thing.
I still have the mark on my shoulder from the beer can that hit me from the upper deck in the Salon de Jumbo.
But I will tell you, on the women's game is really exciting now. I know some people say roll their eyes, don't do it anymore. South Carolina has that woman, Aaliyah Boston from Boston, and you've mentioned Caitlin Clark
Yeah,
from
She's
Iowa.
great, man. Caitlin Clark,
She's
I like her, man.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And do you guys know this, that Michael Jordan just signed his first high school girl to an NIL deal?
Oh, wow.
You have to find this woman. Her name's Keomi McMiller. Her father is a college coach. She practices every day. The way she practices, she uses 2 balls.
Wow.
Oh wow, good for her. That's
No, you have to find
Holy
video
Pete
on her.
Maravich. Yeah.
she's insane.
So she's the first one Jordan signed. You know what, Defo? Why don't you practice with 2 mics?
It wouldn't make any difference. I'm still not saying anything that's of any significance. That's the beauty of the job here. I mean, you just get to, just sort of ramble on, as they say in the song. The women's game has improved immensely. And one thing, even just by you rattling off a couple of names of top players, there used to be like maybe one player that anybody knew anything about. And now there are a lot of, young ladies that really can play basketball, which it's fun to see the evolution of the game. So which Hall of Fame is this now? And how many? I mean, I guess we got to go by number of MVPs. You're like Larry Bird in this category.
No, I think it's it's embarrassing. I said to Lubie, it's an embarrassment of riches. It's the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame, and it's meaningful to me because I am at heart, like your dad was, by the way. How about when I shared with you that beautiful letter?
Oh, that was nice. Yeah.
Oh God, your dad was so great. But I am a writer at heart. That's what I'll always be. And this is meaningful to me because a lot of people think of me as TV, but really I always will be a writer. And so it's going to be held at the Final Four. So I'm really, I don't know, I'm thrilled about
awesome. Where's the Final Four this year?
it. Is in Houston at NRG Stadium.
Nice.
You know what I think? Do we think
that's where we went? We had a great time there.
That was great.
I hadn't spent much time in the city of Houston. I really enjoyed the whole experience, except that my Uber driver got lost going to Sam Houston Park and took me to some museum.
Getting Defo back.
That drives me crazy, as you know. What was the Super Bowl we went to in New Orleans and all you did was go? Was it the fairgrounds?
Fairgrounds, beautiful track, yeah.
Did you actually? So you didn't really even see the Super Bowl, correct?
What game was that?
Probably when the Patriots won their first.
All right, this is your opportunity, man. I know you have to go, so I'm going to allow you the opportunity to throw the first punch here and do a classic hang-up since we have you on the telephone. I mean, it would be well-deserved today, for sure.
Well, let me ask you, have you ever heard of Harriet Tubman?
Yeah. Wasn't she a guard for Memphis State?
For High Point? Yeah, see, that's enough. I can't take it. Goodbye.
Oh, my God, Defo, bye. You're the worst.
I knew I could do some hang-up. Yeah.
I wanted to say something to her, you jerk off.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought she had to go. I'm sorry that
she wasn't saying after that.
what were you going to run by
Leslie? Serious, so it's okay.
Yeah. What were you going to get her into?
She's talked to us about the old days when it was rough, and she was the first woman, and she didn't give it. And I talked to Lisa Guerrero, who's like not modern, not her era, like in the middle, and she talked about how it was such a pain in the ass to cover sports as a woman. So I was just curious. And look, there's a bias. Like she's not treated, I'm sure, like a woman. Like she's good or bad, to her credit, I guess she's just treated like a writer, like a reporter, like a broadcaster. She's Leslie Visser. But I was just curious, like, what is the experience for her now compared to then? Like, there's still times where people forget.
It has to be radically different, I would think.
Well, I presume it's different, but
there was staunch opposition. I mean, it was almost, like. I mean, I remember many people were appalled by the idea of women going into men's locker rooms. Yeah. And, it wasn't, I mean, even the most liberal of people, at the time were thinking, man, that's ridiculous, isn't it? But, I mean, and the people that were involved when Leslie was, and there were, there's like a documentary on it that I saw many years ago, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was a very, very well done piece. And they had a lot of different women that got involved in sports writing and sports casting, I guess, to a lesser degree, because that kind of came along a little bit later. Sports casting opportunities for women. But what's weird about it, that whole locker room thing, is you don't get much out of going in the locker room anyway.
No.
I found it the least interesting aspect of covering sports, all the things. And as much as, if you were a kid and you dreamt of being a pro player or something, there's still a little bit of that element in you, even though, you're supposed to be some professional, but you're in like a pro baseball locker room or whatever. And hey, look over there. There's Steve Garvey. There's Davey Lopes.
Yep.
And there was a, sort of, I guess, a childlike, fascination with what it would be like to be, one of these guys and end up playing pro baseball for a living. Could you find something better to do except if you were hit by a pitch in the head? Great life. I mean, you look at these basketball players, you wonder how they keep it together. How the hell the Hawks, that's the single most amazing story in the NBA this year, that the Hawks were within 2 of the Heat after getting blown out by the Heat in the previous game, then spent a night off in Miami. NBA players, Miami, at a time where, young babes are flocking to South Florida here because guess what, people? It's also known as spring break.
Yep.
Right
now.
That's what those guys had ringing in their head. It wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was spring break. I don't know that NBA guys are interested in spring breakers. Are they? Young girl, get out of my life. I would have to say, though, you know how Alex Dufresne had that famous line, like he felt like he had to keep his head on a swivel, to keep up with all the action on the TVs there at Landlubbers, which is a place that you so warmly endorse. And well-founded thoughts by you on that is a great place. So it was one of my favorites among sports bars here in South Florida. It might be my favorite overall. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think?
Bar. I mean, I know Texas Roadhouse has a sports bar feel, and
Texas Roadhouse, I think of more of as a restaurant, though.
Shenanigans has a very sports bar feel, but they also do more restaurant-y things. But they're out east, and they don't have an out west.
Shenanigans, just seems like a great place to hang, whether they had sports on TVs or not. I guess Landlubbers fits that bill also.
Landlubbers and Shenanigans rhyme some of each other, except for, and it's not a slight on Shenanigans. It's just Dufresne's a lunatic.
Yeah.
Landlubbers, literally, you haven't been in a while. There's actually more TV. Remember how there were so many TVs before?
I would imagine the place has been redesigned, right? Because did they knock down that section so that it's all in one room now? Yeah. Okay.
It's just all TV. Oh no, that other section's there. What they did?
It's there. Yeah. Okay.
Knock down a wall that opens up the main room, but it's just TVs everywhere. I think there's like 50 TVs. Like it's just literally your head is on a swivel. And so that line holds very true today.
Well, and it did yesterday or 2 days ago. I was at the beach and I was just sitting there in my chair. And for some reason, my phone wouldn't connect with my little boombox thing.
Yeah.
And, so now that destroys my whole vibe out there at the beach because I want to be blasting my music and I hope everybody moves away. I really do. All these old buzzards from the condo that's right there on the beach. Just you don't like it? Move away, huh? Who is that? That was Tommy Castro and the Painkillers. Now, usually, as strange as my musical taste may seem to you, the people do end up liking it, right?
That's good music.
By the way, I was going to ask you this, and don't take this in any kind of sexual double entendre, but
okay.
Did you ever aspire to play the flute, Lubie?
No, in any way.
Or is that just a direct byproduct of Jethro Tull and Ian Anderson for most people, right? All of a sudden, I wanted to be like Hubert Laws or Herbie Mann or something.
I aspired to play the trumpet because
trumpet. I couldn't do that though. You couldn't make that noise.
I never did it. I did the
entire
trombone,
time,
and I was actually pretty solid at the trombone.
Trombone, you could play.
I did for a year. You had to do band, and I actually was pretty good at it. But if I didn't want, I was like, do I want to do band?
I couldn't even get guttural sounds out of that. I mean,
I was pretty solid. I actually play some Twinkle Twinkle and all that shit. The trumpet seemed fucking cool. The way that they would move the fingers.
Trumpet, yeah, Miles Davis. I mean, and Herb Alpert. I mean, he had all the babes, didn't he?
Yep.
And he wasn't doing squat. It wasn't like he was doing anything particularly sophisticated on the trumpet. You would hardly mistake him for Marsalis, Wynton Marsalis. Herb Halper, man. He made a fortune. Might have been the highest paid trumpet player ever, man. Al Hurt. Remember Al Hurt? Come to think of it, we enjoyed a lot of really stupid music. I mean, as much as I condemn the music of today. Going to see a great guy on Saturday night, though. Looking very much forward to it because I am not that familiar with this guy, and I tried to find some video yesterday. I was, just sitting around at home doing nothing, so I figured let me familiarize myself with this guy's music. A guy named Greg Koch.
Okay.
Koch. Does it not sound like somebody that should be like in fourth place in the Masters after 2 rounds? There's Greg Koch. He's going to hit a 7-iron here, and wow, this Amen corner has been particularly torturous for some of the leaders so far today.
I think of the Koch brothers, so that's probably not the same train of thought.
Was Gary Koch a golfer? Gary Koch. Does that ring a bell? Anyway, this guy's out of California, and he's a guitarist.
Okay.
That's right. Like all the guitar players.
Gary Koch is an American professional golfer.
Gary Koch, yeah.
Yes, Gary D. Koch.
Right. And Greg Koch, look up Greg Koch. See if they have a guy with a guitar there with like a little funny hat on. What do you think, Louie? And anyway, it's going to be playing at the Funky Biscuit on Saturday night.
There is a Greg Koch that played golf too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Gary Koch was a decent guy, man. He was one of those go-to guys for interviews when you were covering golf because he would talk to you, whereas a lot of the other guys would just, summarily blow you off. Imagine coming up to Brooks Koepka after a bad round. Oh, good.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Brooks, got a minute? No wonder Mayo's bitter. He covered golf all those years.
He did.
Got to travel the world, right? We're here at Baltusrol.
When he's playing,
full of himself in bars around the world, including Russia, right? Which, you're flirting with danger there, Mayo.
Oh.
Start acting like a clown in a Russian bar? I don't know about that. Who's the guy, Navalny? Look, he's paying a pretty steep price. Right? They got him tucked away somewhere where even, even Brittany Griner never sniffed conditions like this. Why are we getting into this? We shouldn't. Kate Fagan, what do you want to do? You want to fuse that with this show?
I'm okay with it since it's National Women's Month and is being weird.
Okay, and she's like kind of a seriously taken sports journalist, is she not?
Yes, she was on ESPN for a long time. She did the Around the Horns. She was would pop up on Sports Center. She was there a long time, and then she may have gone with Libertard or not. I don't know what happened to her.
She was a beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer on the 76ers beat.
Wow. And author. This is, she's written multiple books. We've had her on before years ago.
Now, is that one of those 7-minute jobs, Libby?
Oh, this is not. This is my guy who gives me authors that we've had on 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. We'll get into a little chat with Kate Fagan on the program as well. And we're going to join that. That's going to happen after 9 o'clock. So around 5 after 9. So we'll stick around for a while after the normal parameters of the show. We will have a Mike Mayo's Lunchbox later on 12 o'clock today with the Mayo Man back in form. He seems to be back on his game. What do you think? I know he was devastated by the loss of his friend.
Oh, I mean, we
could forgive him being a little out of sorts and maybe a little, particularly ornery and bitter about the world. But he seemed to be back on his game yesterday, didn't he?
Yes, he's been on it. I mean, Friday was great. We had a blast. He was sober and we had a blast. So,
I can't wait for him to start drinking again, though. This is such BS with him. And
I'm not gonna lie.
Guy tells me he's Jewish, right? You don't believe it because his name is Mayo. He says it's really Mayowitz. All right, okay, that makes perfect sense.
I think isn't it Myaskovsky or something like that?
I don't know, something like that. Yeah, Polish Jew, whatever. But anyway, and then he's given up drinking for Lent. I mean, you want to give up drinking, give it up, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but this Lent business, I mean, so like 40 days with exceptions. He's got more loopholes in this Lent, promise that he made than an O.J. Simpson alibi. I mean,
he's like,
what do you mean you were at the airport, Juice? We saw you were right here.
Which is, again, it's okay because even if you're I don't judge people for doing or not doing things. It's just funny. Like you're saying you're going to do it and you're not going to like pick. Are you doing it or you're not doing it?
Right. Yeah. Why is this night different from all other nights?
Exactly.
That's the question, my friends. All right, we're coming back with more here in just a moment. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, man, that's a great place to chill out. And I saw in a weather forecast, and they've been accurate for a while now because nothing has changed. Have you noticed that, Louie?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw a freaking drop of rain? I think it's been a while.
It's been days. We haven't had rain in a while. It's friggin' weird.
People on my walk of life are just staggering as they're fainting under the sunshine, going, water.
I think it's beautiful.
I mean, there's been nothing. So the weather's been fantastic, and this weekend I think is particularly going to be the case.
Nice.
And wow, what a time to jog down to Key Largo, huh? Key Largo. And visit Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's a fantastic place. You're going to love it. All kinds of good stuff going on there. I can't believe that Tony has been there more recently than we have, Tony Segreto.
Yes.
Because of his, high-level connections that he has there, where it's like Jimmy's inviting him to come over, have a sandwich. It's unbelievable. All right, so Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Jimmy doesn't do anything without making a splash, and he's done it here with Larry Calvano and Dominic Congemi, John's brother. I mean, you see what a gentleman John Congemi is. Is there a more embodiment of a human being that would represent what it's like to be a gentleman than John Congemi, Lubie? It's almost a disgrace that he visits this program here. It diminishes his image a little bit. What do you think? John Congemi? I mean, just a gentleman's gentleman, no?
This is.
Absolutely that. And his brother, man, is as talented as any guy that you'll ever see. I mean, not only is he a talented chef, but then he grabs a microphone at night, and as the sun is setting over the bay, over the Gulf, he's singing as if, you were watching Bono up there on stage. And Calvano's got a guitar. It's fantastic, man. That's the spirit of the place, and you're going to love it. And the food is great. All kinds of good things going on. I mean, it couldn't be in a better setting. You see the pictures. It's one time, too, where as fabulous as those videos look when we play the spot for Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, it looks better than the brochure. In stark contrast to the Sunset Inn down the block. Not to do any negative selling. It's not like there's no comparison, man. I mean, and they do have limited accommodations there, which you can check out at JimmyJohnson'sBigChill.com. And I can assure you that was the classiest place I think I've ever stayed in my life. And that includes a lot of gratuitous freebies that I got for many, many years when I was on the boxing circuit and going out to Vegas all the time as some sort of semi-big shot. It was absolutely fantastic. The accommodations at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great food and drink, great atmosphere, great vibe. Mile marker 104, Overseas Highway. Make sure you make your plans. If you're going to the Keys on our recommendation, just say, hey, let's turn right in here to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, see what Lubie and Defo are talking about. All right, we're coming back with more. Tony Segreto is going to join us in just a minute here. We always love talking to Tony. It's old school with Tony Segreto. That gets underway in just a couple of minutes as we return in a moment. Now that.
The time.
That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, by the way, a fantastic place, and it is 8:01.
Good morning.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going?
All right, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you with us. It's Wednesday, and that means we go old school with our good friend and, wow, a guy who defies old age and going back to the past, Tony Segreto.
So I have to, good morning. Wait a minute, I'm interrupting because I have to ask you why.
Yeah.
Why did we just see a photo of Leslie Visser and not see her beautiful live face, and then you see this mug come on afterwards? Like what does Leslie have to be afraid of? I know she went to Boston College and all that, which is probably a good excuse. However, I just I turn it on and I'm looking at her as that beautiful woman, Leslie Visser, but all I see is a photo. It's like, what is the deal?
Video early in the morning, I guess. I don't know. That I'm thinking that
Maybe video doesn't work on her computer.
No, she's been on via video before and looking very lovely. In fact, several of my friends immediately, I was getting texts like, "Wow, I mean, how did this woman turn back the clock like this? It's unreal."
All I'm saying is she would upgrade this look, for goodness sake.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I love you guys. I love all of us together, but she would definitely upgrade it. And the photo is beautiful, but you want to see the
real thing.
I don't even know if the photo does her justice. The current Leslie Visser is just an amazing specimen. You know what amazes me, though, too, about Leslie? I mean, her love of this Final Four and her total recall. I mean, going back, she's talking about like a dunk in 1968. Huh?
Listen, I get it. Listen, I totally get it. I have... there are so many things that I've covered over my career that there are certain things that just stick in your mind that you just can't. I can be even beyond that. I mean, and you can too. I mean, I can think back to 1961. I can see where I was sitting in Yankee Stadium. I could see Maris up at bat. I could see him hitting a home run in the first of two games. I can see it like it was yesterday. I see myself, against a fence, getting ready for media day. Me and Mike Lupica talking together about, who are we going to grab first? Who do you think we can get to before the throng of reporters get to him?
Yeah,
just things like that make perfect sense, and it makes sense to me. It really does, and I love the fact that people love the Final Four or the Super Bowl or whatever the case might be. That's the way I felt about the College World Series. I just could not wait for it to start, or even this. I was telling my wife, this weekend is going to be. I mean, you got the tournament championships. You know how I feel about softball with my daughter involved at Florida State. It's just it's going to be fabulous. I got my whole TV watching planned.
It was funny when you mentioned a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. I remember, and this probably would never happen again. But I remember, the thought, you never had any thought of leaving the second game. You were staying no matter what. The second game could go 24 innings, and you were going to sit there until the bitter end and watch this thing because that's how much we love baseball at the time. I don't know if I share that same level of compassion to put myself through that at this stage of life. It's all I can do to sit anywhere for more than an hour without thinking about having some kind of move to the toilet. So that's about it.
I remember a few years back. It was July. And early July, and it was a Tuesday afternoon, and we were in Detroit for business for Ultimate Software at the time, and Joey, it's me and Joey, and I said, let's go to a Tigers game. So I called my buddy who was GM of the Tigers, and we get tickets, and we're walking to the game, and my daughter flew in, and she wanted to see her grandmother, and it's just kind of a group of people. And we're walking to the game, and I said to Joey, I said, we're staying for all 9 innings. And Joey looked at me like,
what the hell are you talking about? I don't play until the late games, man. I'm not showing up for see Kent, duke it out on the wood there.
Yeah, we're not. No, we're not. I go, oh, yeah. He goes, no, we stay a couple innings way out. I said, no, we stay 9 innings. You go to a game, you commit. Yeah. You go to a basketball game or a football game.
Is that the way you play it still?
I mean, still to this day.
Wow,
to this
that's
day.
admirable.
So,
I have to say.
So we go to the game, and we had great seats. And to this day, Joey will go, I've never sat through 9 innings, but man, that was the best. That was the best.
Oh, he loved
you're
it.
right. Oh yeah, we were right behind the plate. And I have to tell you again, it was a early July game, hot afternoon. It was the Tigers
in Detroit,
Toronto, in Detroit. The place was jammed. You could not get a seat. They're sitting in the outfield on the berm. Just like here.
What they do? I mean, what kind of facility they have there now? Because I mean, the old Tiger Stadium. I'm imagining that has to be long gone. No?
Yeah, this
any semblance of it.
This is beautiful. I mean, it's really.
I always wanted to go to that old Tiger Stadium. Though.
Yeah,
that looked like a very appealing park.
Yeah, it was. I remember going there. Was when Rose and I first started dating, because her father had season tickets to the Tigers, so I remember that. But it was just beautiful. It was it was a whole thing, and I still love going to the ballpark. But that said, you're right. A lot of people. I was talking to somebody yesterday who she said when she got married, her husband was really into all of sports, and he had season tickets to the Dolphins and was excited. He'd go every Sunday, the tailgate, the whole thing. She goes, and fast forward 15 years, he doesn't have tickets anymore. He never watches the games anymore because
because they're the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They've sucked since Marino retired.
It's strange. It's just a whole different dynamic. But I'm a diehard. I still stay 4 quarters, 9 innings, and
See, I wouldn't commit to that. Once the once the drugs and the alcohol wear off, I want to get in the car and go. And then I did stay for the end. It was a dramatic game, as I recall. I mean, it was decided in the final at bat, there was a Yankee game against the Marlins at Marlins Park, or Lone Shark Park, as it's known now. And so we stayed to the end. But what we didn't realize is that it was probably not a good idea to park on the roof of the 6-story garage, because there's only one lane to get out of this garage. And we literally sat there, I mean, for an hour and a half after the game before we moved an inch. It was crazy. Yeah. So, and I vowed never again. That was it. I will never leave the game, even if I'm parked on the field. I'm not going 9.
No, I figure this.
I hope I get to another Marlins game. Are you inclined to think that you're going to go to a Marlins game this year? That's a good question.
No.
I mean, you're a diehard sports fan like I am, and Lubie is.
No, I'm not gonna vent. I have no.
You wouldn't go. I mean, out of just
if the Yankees were down there, I'd probably go.
Okay, all right. I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know if they're in town this year. I mean, the Red Sox are a big draw when they are here. We know that the attendance and the level of interest is prohibitive, but it is weird to think that, I mean, it's not right around the corner for me. It would be a little bit of a schlep, especially at that time, to get down there. But if you went early enough and kind of made a day of it, if you can, or an afternoon of it, I don't know that I have any great inclination to go, even with grandkids.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I would rather, and it's so funny, I would rather go, for example, during the summer, if I'm in Vermont, I'd rather probably drive to Boston, which is 2.5 hours, or New York, 3.5, 4 hours, and go watch a Yankees or a Red Sox game. Yeah, absolutely. Or drive to Saratoga and go watch races.
That's a must now.
Yeah, you have to go do that. So anyway, but part of it is that it's. I feel like if I'm going to go to the Marlins game, I may wind up being the only person there. And there's
it could be if you go after opening day.
There's no draw. I mean, there's no excitement when you go to a game like in the cities with bones, with history, with the foundational base that they have for their teams, whether it's the Phillies, the Yankees, the Red Sox, you name them. The ones that we know of, the Pirates. When you go, you're going to be sitting there with like fans. There's going to be energy. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be like you're sitting in your living room. When I go to the Marlins game, I have more people here in my living room than when you go to a Marlins game. It's just
it's frightening sometimes.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any
sense. They were on
to
orders one time. I remember when I was doing work with this network there, and Sunshine Network was carrying all of the Marlins games, and they had specific orders, the camera crew, not to pan the crowd. Even if they were like following a foul ball, they didn't want to show like all the empty seats. It had become such an embarrassment that it was actually
or ask people to sit together. Will you all please sit together for just one shot?
Well, yeah, that was at the at Hard Rock Stadium too, which was not exactly configured ideally for baseball. You would have to say.
Yeah, but at least we had it. Yeah,
I enjoyed my experiences there.
I did
did.
too.
Yeah.
I did too.
I mean,
thoroughly-
they started from scratch, and you thought this was going to be a horrible team, but it was nice to have baseball here. And then 5 years later, they won the World Series, and I remember being there. I was at that Game 7.
Yeah,
and
it
was a MasterCard moment for my son Jesse and me. Because and I've said this many times, I offered him the chance to scalp the tickets. We had 2 tickets 10 rows behind home plate. If there was a spitball, you might get sprayed. I mean, it was like sitting ringside for a fight there, and you got to worry that, hey, I don't want to get some guy's blood on my shirt here while I'm calling these fights. Perfect view. Game 7, World Series, Cleveland Indians. They had just beaten the Marlins in a real dull effort by the Marlins in Game 6. My buddy, who I was partners in the seats with, opted to go to Game 6 because he thought it was going to end that night, and I end up with the Game 7 tickets. I told my son we could probably scalp these for about $1,500. This was 1997.
Wow.
And you can have the $1,500 and do whatever you want with it, or we can go to the game. And he said, "Let's go to the game, Dad." And it turned out to be a classic. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
It was a great.
But yeah, I mean, this happened with the Dolphins a little bit, also, where and maybe there's a little more of a positive vibe now, because of all the different changes that they've made that everybody thinks are going to take hold, which you're very optimistic about it also.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you neuter your fans to the point where they just don't care anymore. And this is a town, without the tremendous tradition that you have when you're talking about Boston. I mean, these are common theories, Tony. You've heard them a million times. But it is true to a degree that, you can't create indifference if you're an organization, a sports organization. And our teams here are very good at that. They really are.
They really, that's the thing. I tell my friends, I go, if you're angry about the way your team is playing, at least you still care. It's when you go, like this woman I'm talking to about her husband, he could care less. He has no interest whatsoever. There's no, I don't like them. I love them. It's just like, they don't
care.
Yeah. And there's to your point, that's once you get that apathetic feeling, you're done. You lose them forever.
It's hard to bring them back in.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I know this from my many relationships. Once the indifference sets in, that's it, Tony.
I've talked to them.
Yeah,
I've talked to those people. You have those women. You have this.
Oh no, it's not many would be willing to speak either to me or of me. Yeah. I think at this stage. All right, here's a guy everybody's talking about around town, man, because they want to know how these guys are doing it, man. How is it possible for Texas Roadhouse to be the great establishment that it is? Whether you're going to the Miramar location where we're planning to go, is that still on, Mike Lubie?
Coming up this Monday.
This Monday, okay, great. And Ed Garcia is going to be, orchestrating the celebration that we're going to have there, and he joins us now from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Ed, how are you, my friend?
Great. How are you? I don't know what's going on with my camera, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
We
hear you just fine.
We can hear you great. Yeah. Hey, listen, Ed, we are excited to be with you next Monday night. Oh, there you are. My only request for Monday night is that you make sure that when we sit down, Defo gets his sweet potato, for goodness sake.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not going to be worth it.
I thought of you, Ed. I actually made one myself at home the other day. I'm a big fan of the sweet potato in general. And I thought, wow, the only way this could be any better is if it was from Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Because you guys do something you put some voodoo on that thing. It's great.
We do put some voodoo on it.
Yeah.
I'll share the secret with you Monday night.
All right.
But I have a request. I want to see Lubie line dance.
All right. Well, I'll tell you
he
what.
He could do it. Yeah.
Maybe you get us all. Maybe we'll get all up there, and we can take a little video, and we can show it on the air next week. And
that's what I'm talking about.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. We'll get a few Texas Roadhouse T-shirts we can put on or whatever, and then we're ready to go.
Yep.
We're excited about. Do we have a time that we're meeting? Do we
do
know?
not have a time. I'm waiting on you, gentlemen.
We'll coordinate things. Ed, you should take charge of this because you're good at this kind of stuff. Obviously, with
this
your
is Ed's
capacity
deal.
with
Whenever you guys want to come in, I'm there all day. But I know Lubie likes to get his, go to bed early, so maybe 6:37.
7 o'clock.
Oh, we're there for the bird. Do you have an early bird?
Yes, that ends at 6. Yep.
We do have an over. That's funny. I didn't know you guys had it.
All right, we're flying in with the bird. I think on that
We
one.
do 506.
Get us back in bed in time. Hey, are you open for breakfast? I guess the tournament games don't start till like 12, so this would be a very exciting time for Texas Roadhouse and the sports fans that come in there.
Yes, unfortunately, we don't have breakfast. We do have early lunch on the weekends,
Yeah.
and some of the roadhouses are open up on Friday, which is really cool. You can check them out at, typically they open between 11 and 11:30, but we do have that. We call it the early dine special, and it ranges depending where you're at in the country from $9.99 to like $11.99. But we have 10 different items on that menu, everything, including the 6-ounce sirloin. So you get 6 ounces. You can get that 1 pound sweet potato that you love, plus an amazing salad for $10. You really can't go wrong.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, no!
A song and a dance, my friend.
Absolutely. See, it's things like that that make the Texas Roadhouse stand apart from everybody else. It's the little things like that when you can go in and you can get a lunch like that, or early dime, wherever you've placed that, and you can get a 6-ounce steak, you get your sweet potato and a salad, and you get yourself something to drink, and it costs you $10 or $11. Where can you find that? You can't find that, and you sometimes walk out with a little bag because you couldn't eat it all, right, Ed?
That's right. Well, because you're getting all that bread, you have the peanuts, that really creates that awesome atmosphere. And I mean, again, the value behind it's awesome. And you got to remember, we make it fresh on the spot, essentially for you. That sweet potatoes coming hot out of the oven. That steak is more than likely hand cut fresh that morning. I mean, pretty amazing. You're getting that great quality, great value, and the ambiance is always so much fun, especially if Lubie's line dancing in the background.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. By the way, you tilled the soil of my brain there for a minute. Where in the world do you guys get your peanuts? Because there is never a dud. They are spectacular, and I know people are going to go, "Oh, come on, you're raving about peanuts too." There's a difference, right, Lubie? Am I right or wrong?
No, they're solid and they're free.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone into Texas Roadhouse and just ordered a drink, Lubie, eating the bread and the peanuts and gone home?
No, but because everything else is so good, I couldn't. But I could see doing that.
Yeah. you could probably get by, right? I mean, by the time you have, a couple of fistful of peanuts and the bread.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah. No, dynamite stuff.
We do have an awesome peanut farm out of North Carolina that takes care of all the Texas Roadhouses.
Wow.
And he's been taking care of us for years. And you're 100% right. It is an absolutely amazing peanuts. It's very addicting. Right now we get them prepackaged from them. We're still pushing that COVID safety a little bit versus, we used to have those big barrels in the restaurant. And, great quality peanuts.
Yeah. I have to bring out, just before we go, I know we've been on a while, but we talk about the steaks and the burgers, but again, I have to bring up for people who don't eat meat, Texas Roadhouse is for you too, because the fish is amazing, from the salmon to the trout. And Ed, I know you guys pride yourself in being able to serve up that to people who don't want to come in and have a steak or any kind of meat.
Oh, 100%. I mean, our salads are fantastic. They are absolutely ginormous. I mean, if you can finish one of our dinner salads, I would be absolutely impressed. And then we also have that catfish, which I'll tell you, people absolutely love. It's hard to find really good catfish out there, but we hand bread it with some great cornmeal right before we throw it in the fryer. And we make our own Creole sauce. It's that nice, heavy Creole mustard. Absolutely fantastic. And so you can get that in 3 and 4 pieces. I typically do the 4-piece because I'll have 2 for dinner. I'll take 2 home, and then I make a sandwich the next day.
Nice.
We may have to do that as an appetizer, do a 4-piece, and with the 4 of us, they'll be gone.
Yes, that's right.
No doubt. Yeah.
And you will be impressed because people are like, catfish. But I'll tell you, our catfish is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Texas Roadhouse special. There's something for everyone. The prices are amazing. And again, Ed, Defo and I and Lubie, we shake our heads every week trying to figure out how you guys keep the prices where they are. But again, from the $10 special lunch to those who have it to going in there anytime and enjoying yourself with the entire family is pretty special. And we're thankful for you. And I'll tell you what, we've turned a lot of people onto it, and there isn't a soul. And Defo, you can adhere to this. A soul we haven't recommended it to who just don't rave about it every time 100%. They go.
I mean, just
That's awesome.
unsolicited
Thank you.
testimonials all the time for Texas Roadhouse. It's fantastic. And Let's Eat South Florida. I mean, you guys
Love
kill it on there. And
Thank
they're
you.
quick to crucify any restaurant. Like
Yes,
there was
yes.
one less mushroom on their pizza slice than the last time they were in the place. They say, "I'll never go back there again." But nothing but praise for Texas Roadhouse.
We try
you know.
our best. We appreciate that.
We have anything new opening? Any new Texas Roadhouse openings?
Next year, I just did Hialeah,
Oh,
which
nice.
is going to open in August. And then I also signed Lake Park. That is looking to hopefully open in January. So that's right by PGA, north of West Palm, right in that area that way. So I was very excited about that one. I am working on Merritt Island, Stewart, and another one that I'm drawing a blank since you caught me on the spot. But I'm working really hard up and down the coast of Florida, trying to find some awesome real estate and bring a Texas Roadhouse to everybody.
That's
Davey,
great.
I know you're bugging me about Davey, Tony.
Plantation Davy would be wonderful. That would be
I
great.
am working so hard on that area. That's a tough one.
All right, and always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
joining us here on the
Thank you.
show.
We'll see you Monday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to figure a time.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, we got to figure that one out, Tony. I'm gonna let you and Lubie can coordinate it, and I will be there at whatever the prescribed time is.
What time
How about
did we say? 6:30? 6:30?
6:30 or 7 is what I was saying, and we could do 5:30. I'm open.
5:30 is a rough time to drive down there, though.
Yeah,
So,
we'll do 6:30, and then if anybody wants to pop in and meet people, well, they can. You know,
yeah, maybe 7. 7 might be more appropriate there. Because jogging down, I mean, the way and in the midst of this spring break, Tony, is, I mean, I would imagine you have many fond memories. Did you used to come down here on any kind of spring break, or were you living here when you were in that?
Yeah,
age category?
I was here about that by the time the age category came
Okay.
around. I was here, but I remember, we would take part in spring break because all the people I grew up with who weren't here, they would come down and we'd have a good time. I have to tell you, I drove down to Bal Harbor on Sunday. A friend of mine had a book signing, and he invited me to his book signing. So I drove down there, and I drove via 163rd Street. And for those old school, since this is an
that
old
used to be the
school
drag.
hour,
Yeah,
man, I'll tell you what, I love the new look. It's I mean, they've done a tremendous job of building it up. But gosh, I miss the Castaways and all those legendary places that we saw. Gone. They're all gone. All those memories gone, except that are in your head. There's not a building standing that you.
There was some famous deli restaurant there on
Oh my
163rd
goodness!
Street. That was
there was just it was
like you had to go there. It was a must do in Miami. I can't remember the name of it, but it was there forever. I mean, until obviously met its unfortunate demise.
Yeah.
But that was the main drag, or one of the main drags. That must have taken you a couple of hours then, Tony, to go
It
that
actually,
route.
you know what? It was funny. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I thought it would take me a while. It took me 40 minutes to get down there, and
That's not bad.
parking wasn't bad, and it's about it was fun to get down there and kind of revisit Bal Harbor and see the area, and it was but it was different. It was completely different.
We got outfitted for a couple of tuxedos in Bal Harbor when Leslie Visser was with the Duke, and they were going to tie the knot. And Leslie had found out via the show that Jersey Kyle and I were going to go, and we were going to, because I had a tuxedo and he didn't. And he found it was going to be prohibitive to rent one on the spot there in Boston. And he didn't want to pay the 3-day charge, to have one, while we were on this trip. So we were going to take turns going to the bathroom and changing the tuxedo. So one of us would be out there at all times, but the other guy would be in the can, waiting for the other guy to come back so you could go out and dance with your girl. So anyway, out of generosity, the Duke, had us outfitted for tuxedos, and it was very different for me, to be in one of those kind of tailor shops. I had never had that experience before. You've probably had many custom suits made, with your Italian heritage, Tony, I would imagine, and your longtime tenure on TV. But it was straight. It was a different atmosphere there, Bal Harbor shops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
They weren't necessarily looking for a couple of clowns to come in. Thank God they had the Duke's Black American Express card.
Sort of like Beverly Hills Cop, when you showed up
exactly.
with your car banging and backfiring, and
right.
and you're parking next to a Corvette and a Bentley, and
yeah, like Jed Clampett just showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Park the car out front there. Yeah, just keep it out front. It looks like a buckboard. It's amazing.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to come back with more. We'll get into some different things here with Tony Segreto. A lot of developments around the world of sports, Tony. Are you following some of this stuff? Yeah, I mean, we got quarterback carousels and NBA coming down to the
Brady
wire.
coming back, and oh my God.
He says no, though. They said there's no shot there. I mean, again, he reiterated no chance.
If he came back, I think that there would be a lot of lost respect if he came
for Brady.
Back at the time.
You know what? I mean, it's like Roberto Duran. How many times did he retire? The great Roberto Duran. A couple of hundred, right? I don't know. I mean, the definitive nature with which he stated that he wasn't coming back this time, you would have to think would preclude him from actually doing it again. No, without knowing that he was going to look a little bit foolish anyway.
I would agree.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, you talked up that deli, the legendary deli. Joey and I
can't remember the name of it. What was it?
I'm trying to think. It wasn't Wolfie's or anything like that.
No, Wolfie's had many locations that were famous, but that wasn't it.
But Joey and I were talking about a legendary restaurant that's no longer there, but right by Gulfstream was Monero's.
Monero's, yeah.
And
famous destination.
Gargonzola cheese salad. Yes. And Joey and I were laughing because it was the only place at the time that you could buy a martini. They bring you the martini with a dividend, so you would have, they give you the martini, and then you'd have the what was still couldn't fit in your glass.
So
so we called it the dividend, and we,
that was a classy joint, man. And it was a great hang because all of the racing people went there, so you'd be sitting at the bar like shooting the breeze with Shug McGahee after he just won the feature race.
Absolutely, absolutely. Their Gargonzola cheese salad in a big, thick,
delicious.
Oh my God,
I remember
nothing like it.
And famous, a famous steakhouse also.
Absolutely.
They were well known for everything they had there. Long gone, my friend. Long gone.
Yeah.
My other favorite restaurant that you probably frequented because you've been here long enough to remember the place was, I believe, around like 125th Street or somewhere in there. And also in that area of around Biscayne Boulevard was Tony's Casanopoli.
Oof.
Do you remember this place? Tony's Casanopoli. Great. I mean, still to this day, the best Italian food I've had here in South Florida was from Tony's Casanopoli, which has got to be out of business for 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm. No, I think he's out. There was El Tulipano, which was there, where Hank and I used to go all the time and have dinner.
Hank had to frequent some, popular joints. No?
Yeah, but that one, and then I think someone just mentioned it. Corky's, is that what we're talking about?
Loved Corky's.
Oh
Corky's,
my God,
yeah.
Corky's. Oh my goodness gracious, that was like the place here. I don't know what it is with the sunlight. The more I turn it toward it, the better it is.
Yeah, you're freezing alternately freezing up there, but you sound good though, Tony. That's all that matters. And
I'm sorry that I'm freezing. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No, that screen. You actually had a look there like Joe Zakacki had when Florida State made that 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat them a couple of Saturdays ago.
Oh my gosh! I tell you what, that's going to be. I'm loving the tournament already. Although it's pretty much staying to style with. Florida State blows the lead. Notre Dame blows the lead. Who else?
Florida State, they had a horrible season, though. I mean,
God, Leonard Hamilton just really. What a struggle.
Wow.
It's so funny. Roseanne goes to me, when does Miami play? I go, Miami doesn't play till Thursday. She said, well, who do they play? I go, it's such an algorithm, honey. I said, it's got to be.
They played Duke, I believe, in the first round. 1 versus 4 or something.
No, it's not.
Is that right? Can't be Duke, can it?
No.
Maybe that was a projected,
winner
preview of what was going to happen.
So
you have to have a soft game.
The 2 winners from yesterday play, and I think Miami plays the winner of that one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think that's how.
For some reason, I guess this was a prediction on what the Final Four was going to look like in the ACC tournament. Maybe. And they had Miami against Duke or something. But, I thought that's a weird way to start. I mean, for the number 1 seed to have to take on a team that's
my God,
suddenly coming on now. And, obviously is going to be very tough to contend with, I think, in the tournament. No, a lot of great stuff comes out of that. I like the weenie conference tournaments. That's Some of my
Yeah.
favorite basketball, seeing like Furman make it into the NCAA tournament.
University of Vermont. I remember when they made it one year. It's just like,
They've had some success. I mean, a
yeah, they
modicum
have.
by the standard of what the school should be expected to do in the NCAA tournament.
No, I agree.
Didn't they knock off like Syracuse as a number 15 seed or something one year?
Yeah,
Vermont?
they 1 year they made it to the Sweet 16. I mean, it's like winning the national championship.
Where do they get their players from, Tony? You would be the only guy probably familiar with how the program runs.
They get them from the area. They get them from
Really?
Vermont or New England. Yeah, I mean, you're rarely going to get a kid from California coming to Vermont. I mean, that ain't going to happen.
No, you would never even think about landing anywhere nearby. Not even Logan Airport in Boston. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but they they do a great job of setting a culture and recruit, and they're also excellent in soccer and in hockey. Well, you figure they'd be good in hockey.
Yeah, skiing I would think would be their thing.
Yeah. So I mean,
NCAA
they do a nice job with their athletic department. They really do.
All right.
All right, we got to go to break. Lubie's all over us.
Well, yeah, because you're kind of freezing up there, and the people need to see your smiling face and
We'll
not have it look
off
like
in a
a kung fu movie gone bad.
I'll
So we're
reconnect.
we're gonna come back with more in a moment. Now that
The time
8:34.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Hey, listen, though I have to tell you, there's no joke, man. We had this. There were the three of us. These two steaks, in fact, we have leftovers. We'll have it for lunch today. I mean, it was incredible. Absolutely.
I just love that.
And they're such good
Isn't
people.
it
You know,
snowing? Like, I love that you're making your son grill in like -10. Isn't it like 15 degrees there now?
I'm not making him do anything. He chose to do what he wanted to do. He's 28 years old. He's had a great he's had a great education. You know what? A nice bourbon while grilling is not so bad.
No, it's great, man. You have on the table, instead of salt and pepper, you have chapstick.
Exactly.
Well, Tony with a shotgun going, I got one.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
There it is, Tony Segreto, and treating his son like Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and putting him out there in the frost to cook a meal from some bird that he just caught.
I'm waiting to see Sergeant Schultz come out and go, I see nothing, I do nothing.
Tony, for as honorable a man as you are and well respected as you are, I think that was a move that was totally incongruous with your character. Putting your son out there in the cold, barefoot in Vermont.
It was his. He wasn't barefoot, and that was his call. But regardless, it was a Texas Roadhouse steak, and you can't beat it. So,
well, it would have been worth it for that, especially to have somebody else cook it for you, and then just bring it into the house while it's sizzling hot, and go, here, pops, this one's for you.
So listen, I have to tell you, it was great. We talked about the Marlins earlier, but yesterday I turned on the ACC tournament, and so great to hear Dave O'Brien do that.
Dave O'Brien, wow, he was brilliant with the Marlins.
He was absolutely brilliant. And
Joe Angel got more attention, but Dave, I think, was a better announcer.
Yeah, I think he's still doing baseball, right? Isn't Dave O'Brien the voice of
That I don't know. Yeah. Is he still?
of
Is
the
he
Red
doing Red
Sox?
Sox
Is
games?
it
I
the
don't
Red
know.
I
Sox?
think I'll look into it. I think
That
so.
would make some sense because
Yeah.
John Henry obviously had moved over the ownership here from the Marlins when I believe O'Brien was still announcing
I think so
Marlins
too.
games
But it
when
was
he
so
took
he
over.
is so smooth. He is so good at what he does, and it was just great to hear him on the opening game. And I'm sure he's going to be obviously doing other games for the ACC as well.
Oh, you would think so. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's going to be good.
Yeah,
We'll
he
see.
does Red Sox games and he does ACC network games.
Oh, okay. Very good.
He is the stud on ACC. That's the one thing the ACC network needs to work on. Their talent is a little
Weak?
shy. Yeah.
You know what? Why does everybody copy the lame approach of other networks that are more established, like ESPN and Fox? You don't find it excessive, Tony, to have like 6 guys on a set sitting on a football field? They're all freezing their ass off. Tony Gonzalez is wearing gloves 10 times as thick as the ones he wore as a player. Their teeth are chattering. And they're spewing out the same 100 cliches you hear before every game. Well, you know what the key to this one's going to be? Who turns the ball over less? And you're like, whoa, I tell you what, I don't think I could have enjoyed watching this game if I didn't hear that right before the ball game. I mean, but why do I mean? And then what happens? Like when I watch the ACC network, they have like a poor imitation of that in terms of they don't have, like you say, maybe top notch recognizable talent or guys that you're comfortable with seeing all the time, even if you pay no attention to what they say.
Some of these people, listen, I consider myself a knowledgeable sports fan. When you have to start looking up who the hosts are, like where they played and when they played, there's something wrong with
2 years
that.
in the NBA. Yeah, exactly.
There's something wrong with that. And I don't know. It's
See, I don't have a problem if a guy's, take a guy like JJ Redick, who was obviously a well-known player, but has become a very popular announcer, even if somewhat controversial for some reason. But if a guy was a scrub and he actually has something to say, then I would prefer that over like Troy Aikman, who's up there saying nothing the entire time.
Right. Exactly.
Or Brady, may fall into that category. He may. Well, what if Brady never makes it into the booth there? What do you think? I mean, does he just decide, hey, you know what? I don't really want to. Never mind the $375. I got plenty of jack here because Giselle was making money while I was playing quarterback for a discount.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's ever going to want to go in the booth. That's a whole different.
He signed up for it. I mean, so obviously,
he signed up to be. I think he more signed up to be on the set with the guys. That was my guess. I may be wrong.
I would think he obviously has the potential to be brilliant in the booth.
He does have the potential to be
all of these guys do, but they don't do it. But certain guys can bring it across. I mean, it might not be the best. It's kind of like the best players weren't always the best coaches.
I know you disagree, but I'm liking. I love Greg Olson. I think he's about as good as they get right now.
Yeah. I don't agree.
People are singing his praises. Obviously the consensus seems to feel he's good.
Yeah,
I think he's okay. He doesn't really stand out.
There isn't anybody you really like except Aldi Regatas, and I don't think we could bring him back.
No,
I think we have
guys.
One resurrection was enough. I don't.
Oh, D-Row. But there was no one that ever compared to this guy. I mean, but there have been other great analysts in Major League, or major sports. I'm a Hubie Brown fan, believe it or not, even though. In his older years, he's babbling a little bit, but he wasn't afraid to say, "Hey, that guy should have never taken that shot." There've actually been, there've been guys in golf like David Faraday, who he just because he went against the grain a little bit. Unfortunately, he's no longer visible.
Johnny Miller was
on the LIV tour. Johnny Miller was good. I mean, he might have gotten a little too harsh in his old age, where the golfers stopped enjoying, being criticized by this guy. But no, I like a guy who's honest, who's not just screaming and yelling and, telling you that every play was the most amazing thing you've ever seen. When, you're looking at fairly ordinary stuff going on and the guy is trying to make it sound, very scientific. That bothers me. I don't know about you.
No, there are some things that bother me. I mean, the 7 guys on the set is a little much for me too.
It's excess. But what are they telling you?
I and again, not because I work for the company, but I like the way Sunday Night Football does it. They have the set. They have that very simple, with Tony Dungy and whoever the other person will be, depending on, is it Jason Garrett or who's it going to be? And then they have their people in the field doing their thing, and that's it. I don't want to, I don't want to see 9 zillion people.
Well, that's the thing. It's too many.
That's the thing. And I think I love College Game Day. I think they do a nice job.
No, that's a good job.
Their people said that's the model. If you're going to do a model, that's the model you should have.
Well, and they have, I guess they added in McAfee, to add in another character, which was good because unfortunately, Lee Corso is not as impactful as he used to be on that broadcast.
God bless him. You know what? He deserves. He's one of those guys that deserves to call his own retirement.
Oh, no doubt.
And
I still enjoy seeing him.
And I think people still love seeing him. And I don't think, anyone has her. I will tell you this. I was telling my wife last night, I wish we did in sports what they do in some entertainment areas. Like, for example, my wife and I like to watch The Voice. We enjoy watching that show. And the way they have moved their judges in and out with their different personalities and different genres, whether it's country, rap, hip hop, wherever it is, they have been able to really get the right formula of having the right people as their judges, where they're likable, even if you don't know who they are, if you're not a fan of that style of music, they're likable, they interact well, and you walk away feeling, okay, I like the people. When I'm watching a preseason game or a pregame of any kind, it's, again, you have to be able to like and identify with those people who are on there, and not just because, okay, I'm an all pro, you're going to like to listen to me, because that may not be the case.
A lot of screaming going on. That seems to be in vogue, getting a screamer. Surprised me by not being very good at broadcasting, which I thought this guy was a cinch to be brilliant as a color analyst and any type of studio analyst, was Drew Brees.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I would figure, a cerebral quarterback guy that, obviously has the ability to express himself would be perfect. And I don't know if people are looking for that from Tom Brady, because Brady's going to have to break away from what he's been so terrifically schooled in terms of just saying nothing that was going to, rub anybody the wrong way ever. And, you can't do that and be effective as an announcer. I don't think.
Now, you know who I enjoyed, believe it or not? I thought Ryan Fitzpatrick did a really nice
job. No, he was very good, yeah.
I thought he was, of all people, I wouldn't have expected him to be good. But, by the way, did you hear what the big announcement Amazon had?
They're firing Al Michaels, what?
No. You don't have to have Prime to be able to watch the games from now on. Anybody can go onto Amazon and watch the games on Thursday night. And they're going to have a Black Friday game. So,
oh yeah, wow,
yeah.
When are they going to have 7 nights a week of NFL football?
That's not far from me.
That's right around the corner, man. And you know what? I'd be all for it.
Me too. I'd jump right in that pool.
Never mind the players and safety and all of that stuff. I mean, just play every night of the week, a couple of games, a doubleheader, and stretch it out that way. And if you happen to play on a Tuesday night one week, and then you're right back up on the following Thursday. Then so be it. That's the way we go.
Man up.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
I agree.
Coming back with more with Tony Segreto. We're going to extend the show a little bit, Tony, also, and have Kate Fagan, who is kind of on the serious side of sports reporting. And has an interesting background. She's got a book out. Lubie got her on the show, and we're going to do that a little after 9 o'clock. Kate Fagan, who was most prominently known for her work on ESPN, which she did a very nice job.
Yes.
And this is National Women's Recognition Day, according to our Svengali here, Jim Sarney.
Yeah.
So, and you're big on it. I don't know that there's any bigger advocate for women's sports than Tony Segreto has been.
I am just, I'm all for it. And not because it's not because, it's in vogue. It's because it's the right thing. It's just the right thing. And I give, as we leave this, I give University of Miami credit. I know they're working really hard to figure out how to get, women's softball and other things, back where it belongs in South Florida, and I think it'd be great.
How many Fern Labonte interviews did you do over your career?
A ton. and she was excellent.
Very nice woman, yeah, but not the most scintillating interview, I would have to say.
You know what? It's okay. I just, I'm so happy that it's more and more people are getting into it. I'm happy that I've been able to at least expose you and Lubie to women's softball, where before you wouldn't have even looked at it. At least
No,
now
I was a huge
you'll
Crystal
stop for a
Bustos
second.
fan. Huge
Yeah.
Crystal Bustos.
But the way they played, the way the girls play now, and the coaches, and I just love it. Absolutely love it. Good
No,
for them.
I've always felt this way, Tony. I've stated this throughout my lifetime that I thought one of the advantages that guys had back in the day was that we played sports while women weren't necessarily involved. Certainly nowhere near the level they are today, and that they missed out on a very good social experience by going out there and hacking it out, and playing ball with the guys. You learned a lot from that about people and about different things, and how to compete and all of that. And I thought that was an unfortunate thing that was missing from the growth pattern for women. And now it's there for them, and they've taken top advantage of it because I will give you, Tony, it is remarkable, especially some of the defensive play that you see in women's softball on a collegiate level. And I guess whatever level is played beyond that, I don't know that they ever solidified any kind of pro situation here in the States. But obviously, I mean, I'm watching some of these highlights from last night's college women's games that were involved in tournament games, and where there used to be maybe one girl in 10 teams that could shoot, and you looked and said, "Wow, that's a good looking shot." Now, each team, has at least a couple of people that can shoot the basketball.
And not just a couple. They have a bunch.
But I'm talking about, long distance shots that look like they should, like John Sunbold was letting one go.
Yeah,
and,
I think
it's good.
Really
I see the expansion of it. I mean, I'm glad that this is something that has, expanded to the level that it has. It's great. Yeah. I would agree with you 100%.
I remember telling you, I think I told you I was talking to Andre Dawson one day, and we were chatting because he was asking about Sam and how she was doing, and I told her where she was, and I go, he goes, I tried to hit a softball. I tried to hit off of I forget the famous pitcher,
Jenny Finch.
Yeah, Jenny Finch. He goes, there's no way. He goes, from the distance.
The Finch woman, I mean, she was like Eddie Feiner, man. I mean,
distance from the distance they throw and the different pitches that they throw. I mean, they have 5 or 6 or 7 different pitches. He goes, there's no way. There's no way. How these girls do it, he goes, is remarkable.
No, were you a fan? Did you ever see The King in His Court, Eddie Feiner?
Oh, yeah.
Did they come and play like your local fire department somewhere?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
That was amazing to watch that guy. I mean, blindfolded, behind his back, lefty. I mean, he could do it all. Finch, didn't she strike out like the top 3 hitters in an all-star game?
Yeah, she did. I forget who they were. I forget who the 3 were.
Like Barry Bonds was one of them, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Oh, and don't forget to stick around after 9 o'clock. We'll have Kate Fagan with us for a while. It is 8:50. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
One thing I noticed, a big disparity. I mean, the Florida State players look waif-like. This is kind of like watching the Oklahoma Sooners football team come in for their tune-up game, their cupcake game on the schedule against Ohio Wesleyan. And you look at the offensive line of Oklahoma, and you wonder how anybody's going to get around them. There is a distinct size differential in the girls on the Oklahoma team versus those on Florida State.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use football as the analogy. I'm going to say that they all look like Dave Kingman. You know, they're all like 6 feet tall. It's remarkable. There's a couple of girls who are probably 5'5", 5'4", 5'6", but I would say a good.
But they're like 240, yeah.
6 feet tall, and man, and when you look at their numbers, they're gaudy. I mean, 406, 425, 32 home runs, 27 home runs. Even the ninth hitter in the lineup got like 18 home runs this year.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. The handsome one there is Tony Segreto, and we've been working on the connection here for.
I am so sorry, guy. I have no idea what's going on. Nothing has changed here, so I'll have to reset the router. Am I freezing a lot?
No, you look good now. I mean, if it stayed this way, it would be a bargain. It's too bad that, it's the final few minutes of the program here on Old School with Tony Segreto.
I'll have to figure this out.
Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse. All right, so, I mean, there's so many things. You mentioned the conference tournaments are coming up. Naturally, we're all interested in seeing Coach Larinaga do well. He did end up winning, I guess, and becoming the number one seed, winning the regular season. In the ACC. Isaiah Wong became the ACC Player of the Year. Nice. Also featured here on, it's incredible, too. I mean, we're talking about the South Florida sports fan, and I don't mean to put the kibosh on it, but this has never been a strong area for college basketball. The Wasco Center is kind of a wild place now with a good home court advantage for the Hurricanes.
It is great. Have you
so
ever
they're
been
getting
to a
that
game?
level of support. But
have you ever been to a game there? It's fabulous.
I have not. No, I have not been to a game.
It's absolutely fabulous. They do a great job. And I love the way the campus has rallied. I really do. They've done a great job of involving the students, and I'll tell you what, it just it's been fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. And Coach Larinaga, terrific. And I saw him with his usual stoic, statements as the team was boarding the bus. Remember, I mean, how much fun was it? How many times? This would be an interesting over-under, Tony, to estimate how many times you had Ross Nobles outside putting a camera on a tripod outside the Hecht Athletic Center to interview any Hurricane athlete and or coach before, some big game.
An infinite amount of times. I mean, that's all I can say is thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times.
Yeah.
I laughed. It was like my second home for decades.
Yeah, I used to jog down there quite a bit.
Gosh almighty. And it was just, it was nothing. It was nothing to go down to Hecht Center. It was, and at the time it was kind of a state of the art little, it was cool. All these little offices now, they're going to totally, renovate it and the way they should. It's a whole
I don't know if I would know my way around. I used to.
Yeah.
And you could actually travel on the Palmetto back then a little bit. So if you took that Miller Road exit, if you were coming from Broward County, like I always was, that was a nice little shortcut there, and it was great. I'd love to see it. I mean, overall, I don't think the story has created this big buzz around the city, the University of Miami basketball team. It is nice to see they have enough support to fill the arena.
Yep.
And create what seems to be an outstanding. I mean, they only lost one game at home, and that was this bizarre ball game to Florida State that they lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Which they showed about 9 zillion times yesterday.
Oh man, you couldn't have. I mean, there have been a lot of buzzer beaters this year, an inordinate number. In basketball in general.
I'll tell you what. I think Miami. If Miami can pull this ACC championship off, it and kind of finish the deal and win the tournament, and they get into the they're going to get into the tournament anyway. I would be shocked if this town doesn't take it by storm. I mean, I really would be.
Usually wakes up after the first 2 games, you know. Like
I know.
Weekend.
I know that's kind of how we are, but I'm excited for that on Thursday. You know, it's just like for me, I enjoy sports so much, and I always want a hook. You know, there's that hook. Whether it's you went to school or there's a love for the sport or whatever,
or you have money on it.
Yeah, or you have money on it. No, that you're right. You're 100% right. But when you think of you got all this great tournament action, and then the seeding comes out on Sunday, and then for me, we talk about softball. We have Florida State at Oklahoma State this weekend, and then early next week they're staying in Oklahoma and they play Oklahoma. So it's kind of a preview.
Will you be traveling to some of these games again, Tony?
I don't know if I'm going to go. I mean, I may go to a couple to see my daughter when she gets to them. You know, she's involved now doing a whole bunch of stuff for NBC Sports. So all different things getting ready and she starts football season in May. So they start preparing in May, actually. So depending on her schedule and meeting her, I doubt I'd go as a Lone Ranger, but I'd certainly go and meet her, or meet my son in South Bend whenever he wants to do that. Right. Or they meet me here. That's what I keep saying, you know.
Sounds good to me. How long are you in town for, Tony? I mean, I know we're going to do the thing on Monday. I mean, you're sticking around.
I'll probably be here till at least the end of the month. And probably maybe.
Because I would think Vermont would be particularly enjoyable in the summertime.
Yeah, it's amazing in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a brief summertime, but, you know, I mean, it's summertime nonetheless. I mean, and you got that whole thing going on.
Yeah, maybe till after Easter, and then
all right,
something like that. So.
All right, we're looking forward to Monday night, Tony. That's going to be a blast. I haven't seen you in a while. You know,
and I'm sorry about the freezy today. Enjoy your talk with Kate. I hope that goes well, and certainly well deserved. We should get beyond having to, you know, recognize women in sports one day a year. You know, it should be.
No, we're all in on that. I mean, you know, some of our favorite people to have on the show, obviously, have been our women guests, including the lovely and talented one, Leslie Visser, who we never know. We always have to have, you know, a bet, some kind of action. Will she ever return to the program again after, you know, the insufferable nature with which we treated her? Tony, we love you, man.
I love you and more, guys. Have a great week. See you Monday night.
See you Monday night. That's going to be great. Texas Roadhouse. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we're going to take a brief time out, but come right back. So if you're used to tuning off the show or turning it off at this point, well, you probably would have been more inclined to turn it off at any other point during the program. But here we are. We're normally at what would be, you know, the end of the time that we do the live show here on South Florida Live. But we're going to come back in just a moment and then introduce you to Kate Fagan, who has a book out. And I didn't realize this. You know, you see somebody, they pop up, they become prominent on ESPN. And, you know, she obviously has a reputation as being a more serious journalist maybe than some of the other people that you might see that are, you know, and they have some very good people on ESPN and some very good people that happen to be, you know, insanely attractive among the women that broadcast on ESPN. But Kate Fagan, you know, it seemed like somebody that was more along the lines of an Armin Katayan type. Would you say that's fair, Lubie? No?
Yes, she's legitimate. Like, she was a journalist.
Yeah. And I didn't realize she covered the Sixers for the Philadelphia Inquirer, which, you know, is probably a job that comes under a large amount of scrutiny for, I mean, is that where Stephen A. Smith, was he covering the Sixers?
Sixers, Eagles for years. Yep.
Wow. Okay. And then they also had, what is that guy's name? Scoop Jackson? Is that?
Scoop Jackson, I think, was in Philadelphia. Yeah. He's been in the New York area, ESPN, for a long time, but he's also, I think, in Philadelphia as well, yes.
That's what I want to say, Philadelphia Inquirer. So big-time sports town. I mean, they take it very seriously, as evidenced by the number of body bags that had to be zipped up after the Eagles lost the Super Bowl in Atlantic City. They had stacks of these plastic bags, Louis. It was unbelievable. All right, we're going to come back in just a moment, and we'll introduce you to Kate Fagan. She has a book out called Hoop Muses, an insider's guide to pop culture and the women's game. I mean, this is very Sarney-esque, man. What did you do? I mean, did you sell your soul to Jim Sarney, Lubie?
Well, this was booked months ago. This is our guy that books authors months ago, and it probably was a reason why he booked it for today. So.
Okay, you know, very appropriate. All right, I'm proud to be a part of that. So we'll see how it goes with Kate Fagan in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 9:02.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Leslie Visser, oh, lovely and talented one. Thanks for joining us here on the celebration.
You know, I cannot believe the women that you guys have managed to have relationships with. The Duke asked me, he said the other day, you know, haven't Shirley and the Mustang moved away and joined some ashram by now? With these people?
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
It's kind of funny because it almost looked like we had some kind of planned theme on the program here today. Yeah, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubitz here on South Florida Live, and we go into a little overtime, a little overdrive here, as earlier on the program, and our friend Jim Sarney, a former sports writer with the Sun Sentinel in South Florida, and kind of a Svengali for the show, pointed out that it's International Women's Day today, and we managed, under that umbrella to irritate the lovely and talented Leslie Visser enough to put down the speech she was writing for her Hall of Fame acceptance into the National Sports Writers Hall of Fame and call the show and take issue with a couple of things that we had to say. But this was, something that we had on the agenda, and very happy to welcome another distinguished woman journalist, or just journalist in general. I guess we don't have to make that distinction anymore, which is
Exactly.
great. Kate Fagan joins us here on the program. You probably know Kate from her work on ESPN, but she's done many other things and has many other accomplishments on her list of credentials, and she joins us here on the program. It's a pleasure to have her. Kate, how are you? Thanks for joining us on the show.
I'm good, and look at y'all down there in Miami doing right by International Women's Day.
I'm trying.
Well, it wasn't really by design, but
I heard you sort of just stumbled into this.
Somewhat.
yeah, it's not like Jeremy Schaap called us and said, I got a couple of great guests lined up for you, but we're happy to have you on the program because I'm a big fan of your work. Guys, we were saying that, and there are many women that are on TV now, and it seems like all of a sudden they've all become advocates that you should bet every dime in your pocket on something via FanDuel, which is kind of an incredible movement since it was a subject that was so taboo before. But we said you were more in the kind of Armin Katayan type of journalists, where you're out there, doing stories that are of importance and have impact and take a very serious view and a very thorough view of them. Tell us first about this new work of yours, because I didn't realize it as I was reading your resume, but you followed in very famous footsteps, I guess, with the Philadelphia Inquirer as the beat writer for the 76ers, which that can't be any real easy beat. I mean, first off, how was that before we get into Hoop Muses and the new book you have out?
Well, I have so many thoughts because I think first I need to say that instead of FanDuel, you should be putting your betting money into DraftKings. I think that's
okay. Yeah. Are you giving picks now? I mean, because we have a price and it's a low one if they want to get involved with us.
No, I just want to compromise my integrity as quickly as possible.
Well, and you fit right in with the show.
Yeah, I did. I covered the Sixers for 3 years, and famous footsteps I think you're alluding to is Stephen A. Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, and was Scoop Jackson also a writer, the beat writer for the Sixers? Yeah.
Yeah, didn't directly. When I covered the Sixers, I wasn't directly after Stephen A. It was a few years later, but when I was covering the Sixers, it was actually this in between moment where Cold Pizza and whatever else Stephen A. was had been canceled. Oh, the Stephen A. Smith show that he had on ESPN, and it was first take, and so he was sort of back at the Inquirer, and he was writing some columns. He would be at some Sixers games. We would chat about stuff. So, covering the Sixers was a crash course in all things for me in terms of crazy deadlines, sources, travel. I was a pup at that time. I don't know if that's the right word. I was like 26 and just trying to figure it out.
I think Quite Frankly was the name of the canceled Stephen A. Smith project there on
That's
ESPN.
Right. That's right. Thank you.
And he had a couple of home runs there when he had Allen Iverson on, and nobody could figure out where he was coming from. But Stephen A. did a good job with getting those type of people on the show. Which would, I guess, be a pop culture crossover of some sorts. So tell us about the concept of your new book, Hoop Muses. And how it relates pop culture and the women's game is specified.
Yeah, so the book is Hoop Muses, and it is a really vibrant, illustrated history and alternate history of the history of women's basketball. So we've got Simone Augustus helped me make it. She's a WNBA legend. And Sophia Chang illustrated it. She's really big in the illustration world and really dynamic. And we just wanted to take a different approach at telling the history and pop culture of the women's game because, knee-jerk instinct might be that's not something I care about, but we use comic book art, we reimagine movie posters, like Shaniqua Holdsclaw, a famous player, like if she were in She Got Game instead of He Got Game, that Spike Lee movie. Yeah. So we try to bring a lot of vibrancy and storytelling and create this kind of work of art that also happens to take readers through this much of it an unknown history of women's basketball.
It's interesting. We were talking about this earlier on the program, and we have a gentleman on every Wednesday who's a big fan of women's sports, and we're always being pushed, by certain people to say, "Hey, how come you haven't talked about any of the results in the women's tournament games?" And being a big basketball fan my entire life, and having loved, there was never a park I wouldn't stop at if there was a game going on. I always, thought, wow, it'd be great if women could enjoy this experience of playing basketball, and competing like this, whether it was recreationally or on some sophisticated level like college or pro basketball. And there didn't seem to be that much participation when I was growing up. I'm an ancient citizen here at 70 something, but the evolution of this has really changed. And now when you watch and yeah, I'm watching some college basketball highlights and even some games, pieces of games, and you're seeing a level of play that is a radical departure from what it was even 15, 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, I mean, I played college hoops at the University of Colorado, so pretty high level, and that was my last year there was 2004, and the level of play now compared to then is as you said, drastically different. I mean, even watching the WNBA playoffs last year between the Aces and the Storm, and there was like 8 back-to-back shots in the final 2 minutes. I mean, the game has just evolved to a different level at this point. I mean, and in Hoop Muses, we try to like show the ways in which it was stalled at various points, because it was deemed unladylike, and there were limitations placed on the game. But we are now in an era where, I know there are certain segments of the population that just don't care and probably will never care about women's basketball, but all of the data and the numbers show that ratings are on the increase, social engagement's on the increase. So we are at this inflection point for specifically the WNBA about where it might be going in the future.
Well, what's interesting is not only the women's game, but women in the game. Becky Hammon is one that is considered right there with any assistant, any man when it comes to the game of basketball. What are your thoughts on seeing women not only in the women's game, but infiltrating the quote unquote men's game when it comes to the NBA?
I think what Becky Hammon represents in a lot of ways is this shift that we've seen. And some of it you have to credit Kobe Bryant with this shift of the high level NBA talent, whether it's coaches or players, really understanding what the WNBA is about and supporting it in a way that we haven't seen before. And that crossover effect going both directions.
Yeah.
Where now now we'll see like Asia Wilson, who's a Las Vegas Aces star, right? She might pop by an NBA game and she's got this kind of social cultural capital that WNBA players didn't have before. And of course, when Kevin Durant is commenting on Breanna Stewart's free agency choices, this is kind of an engagement in both directions that we've just never seen before. And obviously the spotlight when the men shine it on the women is a much brighter one, but I think both sides are seeing the value of engaging with one another.
I wouldn't want to play Diana Taurasi for money, even at the highlight of my abilities. I mean, a woman can just flat out play. Gino Auriemma, what's your feeling? Is this helping or hurting the game? Obviously, UConn has been a prominent program and did a lot to put women's basketball in the spotlight. In fact, even when they had some really good, classic men's teams, the women's team, at least in that area there, probably garnered as much attention and was as much a focal point of the basketball scene as the men's game was, even with guys like Richard Hamilton and some of the other stars that they had there. But what do you think? I mean, when you see him leaving his starters in, with 38 seconds to go, and they're up 116 to 38 over some team. Does that enhance the game, or does that turn people off? I mean, the people that might be sitting there sort of on the edge of deciding whether they were going to embrace the game or not.
Well, I think that the days of UConn dominating women's college basketball are over. I mean, I'm not saying they'll never win a title again, but they're certainly not going to be blowing people out like we saw when it was the Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart. Those are some of their stars when they won some absurd number of consecutive games. I mean, the UConn hasn't won a title since I think 6 or 7 years. I forget the exact year they last won a title. So there was a time and place for their epic dynasty. It was the existence of UConn during a period of time when they were able to at least keep certain parts of the spotlight on the women's game was, I think, invaluable. But I don't think that the future of the women's game is that kind of domination. And it certainly, I don't think they'd be capable of it at this point, given the amount of talent that now exists in the women's high school ranks. Yep. There's so much more that you're seeing programs that never stood a chance before now stepping into the spotlight, whether it's Iowa, and Caitlin Clark hitting game-winning shots and drawing headlines, to a program like Indiana, which has never been in Final Four contention, now being so incredibly strong. So just the wealth has been spread, which I think is good for the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean I thought UConn being amazing during various stretches was bad for the game.
I think Gino, I'm just imagining this, might be kind of Trumpian at practice, and you would never know that they hadn't won a title in 7 years. You would think that they had swept the last 7 years and were going for 8 in a row.
That swagger, the UConn swagger.
Exactly. Curious about this because it often comes up in our discussions about what the hell we're doing here, and that is sports talk in general. And I haven't been a part of ESPN and many of the shows that they have, which are kind of based around debates that I'm not sure what the overall worldly significance of them are. Like, does Kevin Durant really need to win another championship to cement his legacy? I mean, we get that kind of stuff all the time. What is your feeling about the direction that sports talk has taken overall? Where, when I came into it, it was obviously very heavily caller driven on the radio, and you've done radio also. And now you would never think to answer the phone, because it could be an attorney with a cease and desist. But, what is your feeling about the direction the whole genre has taken?
I mean, it does seem like it's cycling in on itself, like a snake eating its tail a little bit.
Sure. Is ESPN responsible for this, though? I mean, also.
Oh, man. I mean, of course. I mean, it is the worldwide leader. It is setting the agenda for the ways and how we're talking about sports. I do think it's like, although I think it is getting to the point of kind of absurdity or SNL level sketch comedy, I do feel that there is something incredibly valuable about the way we talk about sports. And I think just to bring it back to what I would love to see in the women's game and the way we talk about women's sports, like these types of storylines they introduce people to who's playing, and they introduce people to the rivalries. And even though I think it has reached a point where we could expand a little bit on what we're talking about, maybe we could take some of that time that we're devoting to some ridiculous discussion that has no answer, and we could tell richer stories. Yes, absolutely. But as you said at the outset of this interview, that's sort of the world I come from, is always wanting to lean to that stuff. And I'm not beyond understanding that the way we're talking about sports, is the easiest possible way, to do a sports talk show, having done one. Like, spending 30 minutes arguing about LeBron is pretty easy radio to produce.
Is he the greatest of all time? What do you think? we had who? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Brady the greatest? Those arguments drive you crazy, and yet it became such a staple of sports talk. And it leads me to my next thing, which is while you were in radio, did you hold management in high regard?
Oh my God! I mean, I don't even remember management being involved in.
Oh, good. And then you're lucky. You're among the lucky ones. Yeah. They weren't involved with us except to be a menace, I can assure you. Yeah. We put up with 40 years of that stuff. Kate, it's a pleasure. And the book, again, is titled Hoop Muses, An Insider's Guide to Pop Culture and the Women's Game. Obviously, a very fascinating individual and a tremendous journalist and well accomplished. And we thank you so much for joining us here on the program today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
Good luck with
it. A lot of pleasure. Our pleasure as well. Okay, that was a little overtime with Kate Fagan. Very interesting person. Maybe we can get her back on the show. She sounded like
great. She's great.
She'd be a good contributor. I didn't realize she was tied in with the Levitard thing. And as we said, I thought DraftKings had disappeared. I really did.
Yeah,
you don't see them. As prominently featured. Every ad is for FanDuel. They have their own channel now, which naturally I was inclined to gravitate towards because of the fact, not so much for the sports wagering stuff they put up really is baffling to me. That's why I'm hoping Andy can connect us with this guy. Say, hey, let us put on a degenerate show. Because we'll show you the guy that's laid out because he couldn't believe that the Knicks blew a 16-point lead last night and ended up losing to the Charlotte Hornets, a lowly, crummy, pathetic, crumbling team that doesn't even have their one good. Well, they have a couple of good players, but they don't have the guy that really is the catalyst for that team, LaMelo Ball. Whatever happened to Lonzo, man? His knee injury had to be something very, very bizarre. Did it not?
So
Did he play at all this year for Chicago?
He played up until like January, and then he hasn't played since then. And then he just shelved.
Yeah, he was starting to show signs of life, wasn't he?
Yes, he's playing really good ball, and I thought Chicago would be a team that could be interesting this year.
Yeah, he's a great passer when he's on his game.
He plays
Lonzo
defense,
Ball.
the three. Yep.
The 3-point shot. He had the Joe Morgan flapping elbow, remember? And then they kind of corrected that. We talked about that with Ron Rothstein.
Yeah,
he said it could be corrected, and he was right.
Yes,
the flapping elbow. Yeah. All right. And that's kind of like what it's like eating with a lefty, which the Mustang is, right? Where if she's on the inside, which would be common, allow the woman to go sit down first. You're sitting in a booth. That all of a sudden it's like Joe Morgan, man, just flapping that left elbow, and you're like, I was going to eat that mushroom. But now that my tooth is in the plate there, maybe, I should make a big stink on Let's Eat South Florida about what happened to my meal.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even though it was all my fault. All right. We'll see you. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, speaking of lunch. And I don't know what he was going to review a couple of places that he was at. Deck and Spice, which I think he did review. Did he not tell us about Deck and Spice? How much he enjoyed that?
Via text maybe, but we haven't talked about Deck and Spice or Aruba on the show.
Oh, okay. Because that's good. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Shaker, the owner of Deck and Spice. It's in Pompano Beach, in a place where you wouldn't expect to find like a top-notch, high-quality Indian restaurant. A Walmart shopping center that has like a dollar store over here and a Steinmart. Does anybody go into Steinmart and buy anything ever?
I don't know if they exist. I've never seen someone shop
Steinmart. Yeah. No one ever goes in there. How do these stores stay in existence? It's amazing. The dollar store, if they're only charging $1 for everything in today's economy, you can forget about them. They're not going to be around for long, are they?
Exactly.
How much is that yo-yo? $1. What about did you ever have a wooden top that you spun, Lubie? Did you ever have one of those things that, you threw it out there with the string? You'd have to see how long you could keep it going.
Yep.
I am amazed. That's one skill I would not have at all. Well, two. The basketball on the fingertip. Can't do that for more than a split second. And then when they spin the football, how the hell do they do that?
Yeah.
They make it look easy, right? After a touchdown, a guy spins a football or a first down. It's great. I can't do that. Can you?
No, not at all. Not even a little.
What is it? Like hand, wrist coordination or something?
Strength. I don't know. Wrist strength. I have no idea.
All right, maybe we'll bring that up on the Mayo Lunchbox show. Then I'll get him all psychotic right at the beginning of the show. Hey, Mike. No, and he also he went to Aruba, which I'm with you 1,000%. Aruba and Even Keel Fish Shack, even though located in that same strip there.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, if you're going to Aruba, you're going to Aruba, and if you're going to the Fish Shack, you're going to the Fish Shack. I don't think like
they're all the same, mate.
Yeah, they don't really compete. There are many different restaurants there, and most people in the restaurant business now agree, which you would think it was just the opposite, that being the lone wolf, like a standalone place, is much more inferior to the ability to do good business, a brisk business, than being in a place where everybody's coming to eat.
That's the thing,
regardless of the competition.
They always talk about foot traffic. Well, if you're the only thing there, you're not getting foot traffic. The idea is people aren't going to go to the same place every single day. So let them know you exist while they go to other places so that the next time they want to go somewhere, they come to you. Like, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, no matter what we did to accommodate National Women's Day today, one we just fell into with Leslie Visser calling in, and the Kate Fagan thing was just arbitrarily, bizarrely planned for this day, even though we had no idea it was National Women's Day. Jim Sarney now wants to update the World Baseball Classic with Panama sticking it to Chinese Taipei. Is this the Little League World Series or the World Baseball Classic?
The World Baseball Classic.
11-2. Chinese Taipei is big in the Little League World Series, aren't they? I mean, don't they win it every year? Chinese Taipei?
They do. I
There's
guess
Young Fu, and wow, look at that. Another no-hitter. Unbelievable. Panthers were winners last night, by the way. They held on 2-1, man. They were dominating the Golden Knights early, and it looked like they were going to lose this thing, but they didn't. That guy Hill was standing on his head in the goal for Las Vegas. Are they a team to contend with, Louis? There you go. There's your sports talk topic.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't sleep on the Las Vegas Golden Knights. An expansion team that's had a wild measure of success, and they're still doing it with two ex-Panthers, right, that were given away for nothing, given up for a bag of hockey pucks. Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith, right? Weren't the two guys that they got, like, expansion draft and via trade in their first year of existence, and they've both been stars for the Vegas Golden Knights ever since, while the Panthers have floundered. and still are all excited because they're like a point out of a playoff spot.
They're 3 points out, which is annoying.
Are they still 3? Because
Yeah,
they were like 3
so.
behind Pittsburgh, I believe, and
Maybe
I
Pittsburgh
think
won.
the Penguins might have lost last night while the Panthers won. Is that possible, Lubie? Check the latest standings, my friend.
The Penguins won last night, so they kept pace.
Oh, okay. They came back from the grave. We'll see you at 12 o'clock with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
everybody, for tuning in. A lot of fun. Defo on 5 with Mike Lubie Lubitz on 5 Reasons Sports Network is up and running. And we'll have our Believe podcast going today as well. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
9:27.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.